Good morning, everybody. Welcome, everybody. So glad we get a chance to spend our Saturday morning together. Just looking at some of the messages, so want to make sure I answer everybody's questions. Meanwhile, as I'm doing that, I'm going to turn it over to Alexandra to help us get started.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on a Saturday. We appreciate you taking the time to join us, and we're so excited that you all are here. And we're so thrilled to be kicking off the Green Schools Challenge for the 2022-2023 school year. So just a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded, and I will definitely be sharing the link to the recording early next week. So you can always reference back to it, or you can share it with your team as well if you need to get any reminders or access anything that you found interesting today. We also have everyone muted at the moment, but feel free to use the chat or the Q&A. If you have any questions through the training, we're happy to answer anything you have. This is definitely, your time to ask us, and we're here to help you clarify anything about the program and the challenge itself. And we're really excited for you guys to be here. So I just want to show you a little bit about the agenda, what we're going to be doing for the next 3 hours. We're going to have a board member speak in a few minutes, introduce herself to you. We're going to go over the program, walk you through, the lesson plans, the website, that kind of thing. We're going to have another partner guest speaker come and speak about special opportunities. We'll allow a little bit of break in between there, and then we will do a little section of Q&A at the end.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Barbara Martinez Guerrero. I'm the Executive Director of Dreaming Green, and I am super proud to be part of a great team. Alexandra Ender, a program manager that runs this program, and so many other things. We have 2 other staff that are not able to join us today, and then I have an amazing board. These individuals volunteer their time to help us with the mission and vision of the program. And one of our newest board members, super happy and proud to introduce, is Michelle Salas. And she's here today joining us to give us a proper welcome. And so I'd like for her to unmute herself and welcome everybody and tell us a little bit about her and the wonderful work that she does as well.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Barbara, for having me. And I wanted to welcome everybody on here for the new kicking off the new school year and the Green Challenge program. I'm very excited to be here with you today, and I'm very honored to be a board member for Dreaming Green. And I can tell you personally why I'm such a big supporter of Dreaming Green is because I know firsthand what a major impact environmental education can have in an individual and a society. And it's because of environmental programs like this that I was able to feel empowered enough to launch a sustainable waste management and recycling company 12 years ago. And we currently service over 1,300 locations in South Florida. And going back to, the reason why I decided to volunteer with Dreaming Green, like I said, I know what the impacts can be, and I know that we also need leaders in our community. And by that, I don't mean leaders necessarily as entrepreneurs or executives, but we need to be leaders in how we live our lives and showing, leading by example. And I know what motivating your friends can have such a major impact. So we also, this goes beyond just a school challenge. This goes beyond, just working and empowering children. This goes and impacts their families as well as their friends. And so this is what we need. We have almost 400 schools in public schools in Miami-Dade County. And I believe Dreaming Green is doing such an amazing job for all these years. And that's why I'm here, because I want to be part of that impact. I want to be part of that change. I love working with students and schools. We service over 25, about 25 schools in Miami-Dade County, both private and public. And we offer customized recycling programs, all tailored to the schools. We help you with the education campaign. We go do presentations. We'll put your school mascot on the education programs, because we know how important education is if we want to have like real recycling. And so I feel like Dreaming Green and Lady Green Recycling, we have very much similar goals, and we're very much aligned in our mission. And so this is why I'm here. And I just wanted to extend, any help, or if you have any questions, if there's any way that I can help any of you, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach us via Instagram or Facebook at Lady Green Recycling. I check all those messages. And so again, thank you for being here. Everybody here is an inspiration. And I strongly support what you're doing. So thank you for everything you're doing for the students, and not just the students, their families, the schools, our community. This is what we need. So that's all I got to say. And I wish everybody an amazing school year.
Thank you, Michelle. And she will write her contact information on the chat. And we're going to get started, everybody. So I'm going to let Alexandra start us off this morning.
Again, thanks for being here. For those who are not familiar with Dreaming Green, I'll just give you a little bit of background on us. We are a nonprofit located here in South Florida, serving South Florida. Our mission is really to empower individuals, especially youth, to respond to, the effects of climate change and other environmental challenges. We did start back in 2006. So last year we did celebrate our 15th year anniversary. So this will be our 16th year of programming. So we're super excited for that. But basically, we assist, diverse organizations, including schools, households, local governments, and businesses to really reduce their environmental footprint. And we do this by establishing, partnerships in the community. We develop, implement, and oversee educational programs and workshops that really promote environmental sustainability behaviors among all age groups, but obviously with a particular emphasis on K through 12 students. Like I said, we were founded back in 2006 by 3 lawyers to really address the unique environmental challenges that threaten the future viability of our community as well as our environment. We started with a pilot program of 3 schools, and now we're in about over 110 schools annually. So the program has really been able to grow over the past 15-year history to be able to service multiple counties here in South Florida.
So Dreaming Green has 2 programs that fall into this academy. We have the Green Schools Challenge and our Green Leadership Grants. Our Green Schools Challenge is what both programs we're going to talk about today, but our Green Schools Challenge is a whole systems approach that engages students. We want them to learn, create, build their background knowledge so that they can act upon what they're learning through hands-on activities in the classroom or beyond. And so we have focused throughout our history on energy and water because of their connection and because of the links between our natural resources, climate change, and community sustainability. Our Green Leadership Grants is our program from October through March. Any school that's registered in the Green Schools Challenge is eligible to apply for these grants and receive up to $350 to support different green initiatives. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as the workshop goes on. But this is what we call those 2 programs fall within the Dreaming Green Academy.
I forgot in the beginning to mention that you will, Miami-Dade Public County School teachers will be receiving master plan points for attending this workshop today. And I know Barbara put in the chat, but we are going to be taking attendance. So if you could put your school name and your school name in the chat at some point in the beginning, just so we can take roll in attendance and make sure you get those points for attending. And then you'll also have to complete the evaluation through My Learning Plan. And then there will be a follow-up assignment from us, but you will be receiving all of that in a follow-up email. But I just wanted to make sure everybody gets a chance to send their name in in the chat so we can take roll. And then also I wanted to mention for any Broward and private school teachers, if you do need some kind of documentation for your school or for the district that you attended this professional development, just email me separately after the workshop and I'm happy to put together a certificate for you. And my email is just alexandra@dreamandgreen.org. It'll show up on the screen a little bit later, but just keep that in mind that we will offer some kind of certificate to help you get credit for attending today. So now we want to take a few minutes to show you our training video. We just completed this. This is brand new. We haven't done a new one for a couple of years, so we were happy that we were able to do that this year. This video, along with the recording for this webinar today, is going to be available online throughout the year. So you're definitely going to be able to reference back to it or share it with other teachers in your classroom. But this is just to kind of give you a snapshot of the overall program. And then afterwards, we'll dive deeper and give more explanation.
Dreaming Green is a nonprofit whose mission is to empower individuals, especially youth, to respond to climate change and other environmental challenges facing South Florida. We assist diverse organizations, including schools, households, local governments, and businesses to reduce their environmental footprint. By establishing partnerships in our community, we develop, implement, and oversee educational programs and workshops that promote environmentally sustainable behaviors among all age groups, with a particular emphasis on K-12 students. DIG was founded in 2006 by 3 lawyers to address the unique environmental challenges that threaten the future viability of our community. The organization has grown from working with 3 schools to now serving over 110 schools yearly and partnering with various communities to implement outreach activities throughout South Florida. Dream & Green offers 2 programs to our community. Our flagship program is the Green Schools Challenge, a whole systems program that engages students in hands-on activities to save energy and water at school and teaches them about the links between natural resources, climate change, and community sustainability. The second program is our adult education program. The Water and Energy Learning and Behavior program focuses on educating community residents about the interconnection between water and energy through free workshops that promote long-lasting behavioral changes. The Environmental Protection Agency states that environmental education is important because it creates a process that allows individuals to explore environmental issues, engage in problem solving, and take action to improve the environment. As a result, individuals develop a deeper understanding of environmental issues that have the skills to make informed and responsible decisions. The Green Schools Challenge's overall to long-term goal is to promote environmental stewardship. To do that, the Green Schools Challenge aims to provide quality education that helps people make informed decisions concerning the environment, to build skills so that individuals are willing to act on these decisions to improve the well-being of other individuals, society, and the global environment, to provide opportunities that allow individuals to explore environmental issues, engage in critical thinking and problem solving, and take action to improve the environment, to mobilize schools to implement environmental challenges that build sustainability through STEAM disciplines, and finally, to introduce resource-efficient behaviors that become part of the students' daily routine. For more information, visit our website.
Now that you know a little bit more about Dream & Green, let's learn about the Green Schools Challenge, its importance, and how you can implement the program in your K-12 school today. The overall goal of the program is to provide quality environmental education. This aims to help students make informed decisions concerning the environment, as well as help students build skills to act on these decisions to improve the well-being of other individuals, societies, and the global environment. The program covers 6 sustainability topics throughout the year that include energy efficiency, water conservation, waste reduction, alternative transportation, green living, and food security to expose students to those issues on a local, national, and international level. Dream & Green incorporates issues exacerbated by climate change like flooding, sea level rise, heat islands, plastic pollution, food production, and energy burdens, and more. With your involvement, we can help K-12 students understand the importance of environmental stewardship, reduce their environmental footprint, and ensure a more sustainable world that we can all thrive in. The projects they complete and the leadership skills they develop along the way have a long-lasting impact at the school, in our communities, and in their prospective professional careers. Why participate in the Green Schools Challenge? We provide the following program benefits and features. We provide support to schools through trainings, guidebooks, site visits, and grants. Our curriculum is aligned with MDCPS STEM pacing guides as well as Florida State standards. We increase environmental literacy and students develop leadership, teamwork, and critical thinking skills. We want to empower students to make informed decisions about environmental issues that impact the community. We celebrate successes at the end of the year by awarding prizes and trophies to top scoring schools in May. We also want to increase building efficiency to decrease overall operating costs and improve occupants' health.
The Green Schools Challenge is implemented at 3 different levels. The elementary school program is designed for grades pre-K through 5th grade. The middle school program engages grades 6th through 8th. And finally, the high school program includes grades 9 through 12. There's a curriculum with grade-appropriate lessons for each of the 3 levels. The Green Schools Challenge is a year-long program running from September to May. The program begins with a professional development training where we go over the program benefits, how to implement the program, how to navigate the curriculum, and how to receive points. After the training, equipped with the knowledge and tools, teachers return to their schools to focus on the 3 pillars that help build schools for the foundation of the program. The first pillar is to form a green team and conduct a green pledge. The green team is made up of teachers, students, leaders, administrators, facilities, staff, and even parents. The team is essentially the group spearheading the Green Schools Challenge in their school, but the entire student body may be completing the lessons and activities put forth by the program. This step is very important to get the buy-in, not only for one individual class, but for the whole school. Pledges should be visible or shared with all, and ideally, it represents those that will be involved in implementing curriculum as well as building operation decisions. For the second pillar, the green team will then conduct an environmental self-assessment checklist to see what green initiatives are currently in place and will then engage in the third pillar to set an environmental goal for the year. The 2 steps are very important to help schools to create a baseline for where they are at the beginning of the year, what may be already a success, and what specific initiatives are important to each individual school. It is very important that the school understands the concepts of a green school and what can realistically be accomplished in one school year with varying school districts and administrative support. It is very important that the goal chosen by the school must be able to be tracked and evaluated. Then, throughout the year, from October through March, there are 6 topics and an activity for each that include energy efficiency, water conservation, waste reduction, alternative transportation, green living, and food security. Teachers submit documentation for activities completed and earn points according to a rubric created for each. The lessons come with a lesson plan and aligning benchmarks. Since the program is set up as a competition, each school is encouraged to complete the pillars and as many of the lessons as they can. Each activity and lesson is given a specific amount of points through a rubric system, and schools accrue points throughout the year. At the end of the year, top scoring schools will be eligible to win prizes and awards for their accomplishments.
Around April, the program begins to wrap up and schools have a chance to celebrate their accomplishments. One way to do this is by hosting an Eco Summit. Eco Summits are a way to showcase the work done by the schools. Each school is encouraged to organize an event at their school to present the lessons, initiatives, and knowledge learned to their school community. These events can be joined with STEM nights, Earth Day activities, or end-of-the-year school fairs. It's left up to the school to engage parents and teachers and others, but just some ideas include a tree planting, eco-fashion show, performance, and even a table exhibit. The last requirement of the program is for the schools to assess the yearly goal they set at the beginning of the year. Schools look back at their environmental goals and assess whether they were able to reach their goals or not, and evaluate the challenges they faced. This is important for schools to measure their progress and have real data on what they have achieved. We know that there are many environmental initiatives and programs you and your school may already be participating in. This is why we allow schools to accrue extra points through our bonus activity section. By providing bonus points for schools to participate in community service projects such as cleanups or native habitat restorations, these activities both support our mission and give opportunities for hands-on learning. We also partner with organizations to provide special opportunities like workshops, presentations, and citizen science opportunities. A complete list of these year's special opportunities can be found on your online guidebooks.
At the end of the year, we reward those hardworking schools that implemented sustainability practices and environmental education in their schools. We love to host a ceremony in person where schools and individuals receive banners, trophies, and prizes. Top scoring schools are recognized as well as special individuals like teachers, students, and administrators that have helped to facilitate the school's green journey. The Green Leadership Grant Program is another initiative aimed at complementing current school efforts by providing financial support for green projects that align with DIG's environmental topics. These grants help address the issue of budget cuts that limit schools' discretionary funds that would be used for green initiatives like recycling efforts, water conservation, and edible gardens. Green Leadership Grants provide teachers and students with support necessary to implement student-led solutions to environmental problems that are unique to their school. Students learn to brainstorm ideas, manage budgets, work as a team, and execute projects that will have long-lasting impact on the environment. Students use problem-solving skills to design and create low-cost projects that encourage sustainable behaviors and practices. Grant projects are intended to stimulate solution-focused thinking. The grant program is also an important learning tool in and of itself. By asking Green Team students to work together to conceptualize and brainstorm projects demonstrating various sustainability themes, write proposals, develop budgets, and evaluation criteria, and execute projects, students learn important leadership tasks around project management, developing skills applicable to a myriad of future careers. Examples of projects include, but are not limited to, purchasing recycling bins for individual classrooms, building a vegetable garden, building a butterfly garden, installing water bottle refill station, and even purchasing rain barrels.
Everything you need for the Green Schools Challenge is conveniently located on your online guidebook that should have been made available to you. These guidebooks will outline all the requirements, provide the actual lesson plans and submission forms for all activities, include the links to grant proposals and additional resources like the link to this video and additional training videos that will walk you through the online guidebooks. The Green Schools Challenge is a testament to the impact Dream in Green has had and continues to have in South Florida. We are thrilled at the opportunity of expanding environmental education opportunities for K-12 schools and look forward to continuing to empower people to become environmental stewards. Now, you are ready to begin your green journey. And remember, Dream in Green staff is always available throughout the year to help you. Welcome to the Green Schools Challenge.
We'll share this video with you guys. Again, as Alexandra said, please feel free to share the link so that if you have other teachers in your school that you'd like to have them join or know a little bit more, please share that. Also, a new thing you guys might have seen if you follow us on social media, we do have a little bit of an incentive this year to bring in a new school that a friend that you might have in another school, or you might have changed schools and you're not sure if the school that you were at before participates. We're asking as you register that if you recruit another teacher or another school per se, to come into the program and register. On the registration form, there is a section that says, referred by. All of those names that we get, we have a couple of prizes that we'll be raffling off at the end of August. So if a friend of yours registers for the program and puts your name, and it's a new school, you guys will be eligible for some prizes. We had a couple of really cool things that we didn't get a chance to when we had our end of the year award ceremony. We had a couple of things to auction, but a couple of stuff left over. So we have some things that we want to give away. So just to let everybody know of that opportunity, if you bring in a new school that hasn't participated, in the past, maybe, they haven't participated in a couple of years, share this video with them and then have them put your name when they register their school. As we move on, I also want to thank our sponsors for this year. Every year we rely fully on getting funding through public and private foundations, as well as government grants that we receive, and sponsorships from local companies. So just wanted to thank our sponsors and share that list for this year. We are very happy that we are able to provide all of this for free for any teacher that wants to participate. So just to share that list with you all.
And then in addition to our sponsors, we just want to thank all the partners that we're working with this year. Every year we partner with, local, national, and international organizations, nonprofits, municipalities throughout the community and the globe to, not only help us put together some of the lessons that you're going to be using throughout the year, but also to coordinate special opportunities for the schools and your students, which include like in-person workshops, presentations, field trips, citizen science opportunities, those kinds of things. So we'll outline those and we'll hear a little bit from some partners later, but we just want to, highlight the partners that we're working with, and so you can see who they are for this year.
Just wanted to share our impact to date, since we have been around for the last 15 years now, going into our 16th year. Specifically, our Green Schools Challenge program has been able to save the district $3.8 million in energy costs, 41.1 million kilowatt hours of electricity, and 62.4 million pounds of CO2 emissions. Now, some of you might be surprised to hear the amount that is in the budget for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And I know that we've said this number before, this is on average, but just to see if anybody remembers this from previous years. Is there anyone that knows or has remembers how much on average Miami-Dade County Public Schools spends on electricity cost each year? No guesses today?
Somebody.
5 million, billions, 53. There we go, 380. All right, so we got some really high ones and we got some really low ones. On average, the county, Miami-Dade County, spends $65 million on electricity because of everything it powers. And on water, they spend about $35 million. So that's why it's really important for Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and for any school district for that matter, to really pay attention to, their energy and water consumption, because it really does make a difference. In Florida, we might be lucky that some of our electricity is not as expensive as other places. But again, that is a lot of money that if we were able to reduce that cost, think of what we can redistribute for things we really need, like teachers, materials, and everything that goes into a classroom that I know teachers have to bring on their own that's not covered by the district. So definitely something worth looking at when we think about how we can, not only reduce our energy and water because of how it affects our CO2 emissions, but also, what we can put back into our pockets. So something to think about as we talk about some of the lessons that we are introducing this year.
And so what are some of the program benefits and features that we have with the Green Schools Challenge? Why participate with us? We want to provide support to the schools and to the teachers, and we do that through trainings like this one. And then we had an in-person workshop earlier this week, and we'll be providing additional PDs throughout the year. So keep looking out for those. All the guidebooks and the lessons are available online. We moved them online a couple of years ago to make it more accessible to you wherever you are, whenever you need it. We also provide site visits to the school to, again, offer additional training. And then we do have our grants program that Barbara mentioned that we'll go into more detail on how to apply later. All the curriculum that we have is aligned with the Florida state standards and benchmarks, and those are written directly into the lessons when we look at those later. We really want to increase environmental literacy and help the students develop leadership, teamwork, and critical thinking skills. Again, to really empower them to make informed decisions when it comes to the environment and what their impact can have on the environment. We want to celebrate the successes of the challenge. This is a competition-based program, so everything that we are going to talk about today does have a point system attached to it. So at the end of the year, towards the end of May, we'll host an award ceremony where we give out prizes, banners, trophies, that kind of thing to top scoring schools and recognize those amazing individuals that have really excelled throughout the year. And then, as Barbara just touched on, we really want to increase, overall building efficiency, helping the district save money, helping the schools save money as far as the costs on their utility bills. So the kind of behavioral changes that you and the students are learning through this program really make an impact on saving that money.
The last couple of years, we've also made it a point to tie our lessons to the United Nations Sustainability Goals. These were put together globally, as the name itself implies, the global goals for sustainability. Their goal was to reach all of this by 2030. And as you could kind of see, these goals are very lofty. Realistically, I don't know if we'll be able to reach all of these by 2030. But these are goals that whether we directly or indirectly talk about them in our classrooms, we are working towards, especially in a public school when we talk about feeding our children, making sure they have a proper education, make sure that they are able to learn about climate action and some of these other goals. So when you look through our guidebook, you will see that the themes that we have the 6 major themes follow and support one or a couple of these goals. And in our guidebook, you have the link to the UN's website that talks a little bit more about the process and progress of these goals.
And speaking of the guidebooks, staff spend all summer putting together the lessons and these 3 guidebooks that we are providing to you. We do create a guidebook for 3 grade levels. So for the elementary, middle, and high school, they each have their separate guidebooks. A lot of it is very similar as far as the overall program structures and some of the activities that we ask you to do, but the individual lessons are grade specific and those are different for each of the grade levels. Within all guidebooks, we do cover 6 different sustainability topics throughout the year, which includes energy efficiency, water conservation, waste reduction, alternative transportation, green living, and food security. And each of those topics has a corresponding lesson. At the elementary level, we do provide age-appropriate lessons for the pre-K through 1st, another lesson for 2nd and 3rd, and then another lesson for 4th and 5th. And then at the middle and high, there's just 1 lesson for each of those 6 sustainability topics, so 6 for each. Again, the entire guidebooks, all the guidebooks are available online, so you can access it from anywhere at any time. All the lessons are written in a clear format that includes objectives, timeframe, materials, procedures, and evaluations, and those associated benchmarks that we were talking about. And then everything you need to submit your work is also on the online guidebooks, and we're going to kind of walk you through those later on in the PD.
This is sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So the Green Schools Challenge, it is a year-long program. This is kind of the overview, the timeline that you'll have for the year. So we do run from about September to May. the program does begin with a professional development training, obviously the one you're in now, where we go over the program benefits, how to implement the program, how to navigate the curriculum, and really how to receive points. After the training, once you're equipped with the knowledge and tools, you'll return to the schools and to the classroom to focus on the first 3 pillars that we have that really help schools build the foundation of the program. And those are there in blue. Create a green team and a green pledge, create an environmental or fill out an environmental self-assessment, and set a yearly goal. And we'll go into each of those afterwards. But then throughout the year, usually from October to March, you'll complete the sustainability topic lessons that I just went over. Like I said, there's an activity for each of the 6 topics that we have. And then you'll submit documentation for each of the activities completed and earn points according to the rubrics created for each of those. Then towards the end of the year in April, we ask schools to host an eco summit. We know that, that is around testing time, so we don't want to put anything else extra on you, so we kind of couple the eco summit with things going around Earth Day, Earth Month, to have kind of a celebration in school about all things sustainable and all things green. And then, as I mentioned before, at the end of the year, we're going to do an award ceremony at the end of May to really highlight those schools and all of your accomplishments throughout the year.
And this is just an overview of how to get your program started this year and the points that are associated in deadline. So by attending this teacher training, you already get 10 points to start your school off, and that's why we're taking attendance. So if you see me looking down, I'm just trying to make sure I get to everyone that put their information on the chat. And so if you came in a little bit late, just wanted to mention that as well. Please make sure to put your name and school on the chat so we can know who's here for this particular 10 points, and also for Miami-Dade County Public Schools if you registered for this through the My Learning Plan. Then the next step would be to assemble a green team and create a green pledge. I think this is something that is really fun for schools, at least that's what we've been hearing, because it really builds a community and it gets the buy-in from everyone, not just one classroom, but what as a school are we going to do? So here are some of the tips to get a successful green team going. You can assign roles to different members and delegate tasks, having a team captain that motivates the team, and that could be a teacher and student. It can be a group of students that decides on one person that is going to be their captain. You can have a co-captain. You can have topic leads, for example. You can have one member, one teacher, one member of the group be the topic lead for the 6 topics we mentioned. You can have a photographer that goes through everything that you do to make sure that you record it. And of course, we want to involve facility staff. It's really important to, when you try to implement certain initiatives at the school level, that everybody's on board. And it's great to involve your school's PTSA as well. We have been, for the last couple of years, engaging parents in a parent advisory group to help with the program. And so that's also great to bring parents into this part to set the community atmosphere for the year.
I just want to add 2 additional things to that. The first, as Barbara mentioned, involving facility staff is key, not just in the Green Schools Challenge, but really if you're going to implement any kind of, green initiative or program at the school. We've heard, Barbara and I both have heard, from teachers where, they put in this hard work to put in something, like a butterfly garden or something in the school grounds, and then they come back from summer. I had a teacher just tell me that on Tuesday, that she came back to school and the entire garden was mowed down with a weed whacker because, the facility staff or the grounds people didn't know, what was going on there. So it's important to communicate that if that's something that you're going to implement. And then the second point I wanted to mention is that there is a deadline there on the screen at the end of December, but that is not necessarily a hard deadline. In the past, we did ask teachers to submit things in a timely manner, but we found that that limited your flexibility with the program. So there's just only really one deadline that we have for all submissions and all activities throughout the year, and that's going to be at the end of the last Friday of April, which I believe is the 28th this year. So because this is on a point system and a grading system, I'll need to grade everything that you submit. So if you get everything in by the end of April, then I can, tally up the scores by the award ceremony in May. But we just kind of put a December deadline just as a suggestion here for the beginning of the year activities, because as the name implies, we want you guys to get these things done towards the beginning of the year, because it really does set the groundwork, the framework for the rest of the school year. So we try and have you complete these things, September, October, that kind of time frame. But you're more than welcome to submit anything and everything by the end of April. So that's very much up to you on how you want to do that. I have schools that submit things as they complete them, and then I have schools that submit all of their year-long work on April 28th, which is totally fine. I'm mentally prepared for that at that time. So it's just whatever's more convenient for you, but we'll go through how to submit everything afterwards as well. And then these are just some examples that we have of green pledges that Barbara was talking about. It's definitely, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's we ask that you get creative, however you want to put up some kind of green pledge for your school. So banners tend to be some of the more popular ways to do a green pledge, a way for the whole school to see it, for students to sign their names or maybe sign their individual pledges. We've seen schools do morning announcements, to do a commemorative tree planting, or maybe they send an individual pledge home for them to sign with their parents. It's totally up to you, but we do have some suggestions on the online guidebook if you're kind of stuck or if you don't necessarily want to do a banner.
And our pillar 2 is to have your student conduct an environmental self-assessment. And so this environmental self-assessment is really a form that we have a link to that has separated the requirements for green apple designation. And I'll talk a little bit about green apple designation, but really the purpose of the environmental self-assessment is to engage your green team, all of those members that we just mentioned, to assess the sustainability of the school, how green your school is. And it is not to punish any school, like you're not doing this. It's really for your knowledge to know, okay, our school does this, but they don't do this. We don't know this. Who can we ask? How can we get this information? And how can we improve it? Those questions, as I mentioned, come from the Green Apple designation, which is through the U.S. Department of Education, and then trickle down to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. So if you want to join the larger Green School National Movement, the first step in doing that is to get a Green Apple designation. We do have some schools in Miami-Dade County and Broward County that have gotten that designation. And here is the list. So you would start as a Green Apple school, and then you will be eligible for Green Ribbon. We did have one school, Mass Academy, that obtained their Green Ribbon national status a couple of years ago. And we had a couple of schools that started that just went this last year, I think 4 schools last year joined the Green Apple. So, that's a separate designation, but we help you to get through it because of that environmental self-assessment that we've integrated into our program for our pillar. And so here's the list of schools in Miami-Dade and Broward that have received that state designation.
The Green Apple designation, I believe, is an annual application, Barbara.
Yeah, so you reapply to get more points because similar to our environmental self-assessment, where each question kind of gives you a point. It's the same thing with the state designation for green apple. You start with green, the green, and then there is a like silver
Silver,
apple
gold,
and
silver,
gold apple.
platinum,
So
yeah.
every year, if you want to increase your status, you have to go through the designation again, which again, you could use the checklist that we have in our program to help you improve your state designation.
Yeah. And so then the third pillar that we have for the beginning of the year activities is to set a yearly environmental goal. So hopefully after you complete pillar 2, which is the self-assessment, you'll be able to maybe identify an area of improvement at your school. You'll choose one main goal that'll fit into one of the 5 topics here on what you want to complete for your goal. You'll identify activities or initiatives that will help you reach that goal that you chose. You'll create an action plan and how you're going to assess the progress of that goal. Then on the other end, we're going to assess the success of the environmental goal at the end of the year. We want to learn, what your challenges were or what your successes were. We definitely we're not going to, punish you for not achieving your goal. We don't want you to not choose something that's unrealistic. We want you to work towards a goal. Maybe it takes a couple years to do. You don't necessarily have to complete it in a year. Some examples of goals that we've had in the past are, getting rain barrels into their gardens to use as a water collection system and to water their gardens and their lawns. Maybe you want to start a composting program at your school. Maybe you want to set up a monthly electronic recycling program at the school. Maybe you want to create an outdoor classroom. Maybe you want to install bike racks on school grounds, or maybe implement an energy conservation school-wide campaign. We do have a list of ones that we've received in the past on the guidebook to get you started, but maybe there's already a goal that you have in mind, or maybe there's something you're already working on right now.
So here is a list of the 6 monthly challenge topic themes, as we've mentioned before. And here is the points that you would be allotted for submitting or doing the activity. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on what those activities are for this year. Another option we'll keep mentioning is you can also create your own. There are amazing teachers here that I know already implement a lot of great lessons into their classrooms that fit upon these themes. So we want to learn also from you, and we want to also not give extra work if you're already doing that. I know I'm looking at some environmental science teachers that are here and that they already implement all of these themes into their lessons. So if you have a lesson that falls into the water quality and conservation that you'd rather submit to us, then please do so. And we'll go into a little bit more detail what those 10 points, what are those 10 points associated with. And I know it's a little small here, but we'll be sharing this afterwards. And this is also on our online guidebook. So as you could see, it's super easy. If you give us on-time submission, that's already 1 point. If you've submitted the form, super easy, that's already 2 points. If you tag us on social media, again, it's not necessary, it's only 1 point. We appreciate that you tag us on our official platforms. It's just great for us to see as well, and we share that so others can get ideas. And then in the form itself, there will be a section for us for you to tell us about implementation. And so if you let us know how many classes were involved, if it was one classroom, if no students were involved in this, if it was school-wide, and you had community members involved as well, please let us know. That also helps with the rubric. And then the environmental impact. Give us some information with a summary of the lesson, the analysis, what could be changed, what worked, maybe the extension activity that we either provided for you or that you did. And so do you have any documentation? And again, we ask for you to send us an example of a student letter, if that was the evaluation component, or a video or graph or pictures. And so through that, we use this rubric to assign the points.
I want to point out that this year, there is going to be a change on how you submit that documentation. In previous years, you had to submit everything to me via email, whether that be, you know, photos, videos, evidence of student work, anything like that, because you submit the activity through a Google form. For those teachers that aren't familiar, but now a teacher pointed out to me earlier this year that now you can attach things to Google Forms. So there is a way for you to make it or include attachments directly with the submission form. So again, if whatever deliverables go along with the lesson, whether it's videos, photos, or documents, you can upload those directly with the Google form. And I will get those that way. So we're hoping that kind of streamlines the process, because I know it can be a pain to sometimes email me multiple photos. I know that bandwidth is an issue with some of the Dade schools emails. So you sometimes, you know, you have to send one picture per email, which can be a little tedious, I know. So hopefully now this is a way to help streamline that process, and you can upload everything with the submission form at the same time.
And so
oh, go ahead.
Here's just an example of what when we say lesson, what it looks like. And again, as a former teacher myself and having worked inside and outside the classroom for years, this is kind of the format that we've chosen to do, because I know it makes it easier to implement into your classroom. So we provide the objectives, the estimated time needed to implement the lesson. We've created background information just to give you kind of some knowledge on the theme, not on the theme, I'm sorry, on the topic in this particular lesson. We talk about the procedures. We have some guiding questions for you to use, and then the evaluation is what you would turn into us. We provide the benchmarks. We try to make it multidisciplinary, so you'll see there benchmarks from science, social studies, language arts, some visual arts, and we have a quick list that you will share with you guys, so you can see which of the lessons hit various disciplines. And then some lessons have extensions and special opportunities, so we also put those in this format, and we'll get everybody a chance to explore the website and explore some of these lessons later on.
The next thing we want to talk about are bonus activities. So we know that a lot of schools are already doing some initiatives or multiple initiatives surrounding, you know, the environment or sustainability. So we want to reward your school for those kinds of initiatives and opportunities that you're already taking advantage of, in addition to the Green Schools Challenge. So the ones that you see here on your screen are some of the ones that a lot of schools participate in. It's definitely not an end-all list. I'm sure there are other initiatives and other programs that are out there that we don't know of. And so you're more than welcome to apply for a bonus activity with those as well. But these just tend to be the most common ones that we've seen. So, you know, things include the How Low Can You Go challenge, as well as the International Coastal Cleanup will be next month. Some schools take part in that, or any additional beach cleanups. If you take part in Earth Day initiatives, if you take part in any poster contest put on by the municipalities. I know there's one for Broward, and then also the Every Drop Counts poster contest put on by Miami-Dade Water and Sewer. So those are just some of the examples. And again, it's not an end-all list. I know that a lot of schools, for example, also do the Fairchild Challenge competition. And then also some schools are taking part in the Everglades Literacy Program put on by the Everglades Foundation. So again, we just want to award you for already doing these things, because it still ties in with the overall mission and goals of the program. So if you have any questions about if an initiative should qualify, just email me, and I will let you know, but most likely, it will fall under this. So just let me know.
And just to build on that, just because we showed, the elementary, you'll get a chance to go into the website and see what the middle and high, they're very similar. Obviously, there's some that are, more elementary geared. And, we try to highlight as many as we can. I know some Broward teachers here that are experts in the How Low Challenge, How Low Can You Go Challenge. So definitely want to give a shout out to that one. We also have a new one. Thank you, Genevieve, for reminding me. We have a new partnership with this year with Piano Slam. And the Piano Slam is mostly middle and high, but they have a competition that helps students create their own poetry that is then put to music. And then at the end of the year, they have a big event and competition at the Adrian Parsh Center. And so if you're participating in Piano Slam, that's a bonus activity that you can also put in. And yes, all of this information is in the Green Schools booklet. And for those of you checking the chat, Linda, thank you so much. Yes, the Miami Heat How Low Challenge will start off, will be October 6th. And so please register for that as well. And we have the link there. Yes, we do have a list of bonus activities for middle and high, and we'll give you when we walk through the guidebook, you'll be able to see that list.
And a lot of them are very similar, as Barbara mentioned, but just for example, like the Every Drop Counts poster contest for Miami-Dade, that one is specific for elementary, so that's why that's on this list and not on the others, but we will show you where to find those afterwards. So something new that we are, incorporating this year is more citizen science opportunity for you and your schools to complete. So these are kind of some of the 4 ones that we've partnered with for this year. I'll just go through them quickly. I don't know how many are familiar with the iNaturalist app. It is a phone application that you can download it is used to help identify plants and animals around you. Usually in the past, there's been kind of like a citizen science day or weekend surrounded by iNaturalist, kind of like a citizen science blitz that takes place in April, I believe, Barbara, right? Yeah. But that's just one example. And the second is the Clean Swell app. This is put on by the Ocean Conservancy. It's also, again, a phone application that you can download. And this is to help with cataloging what you collect through beach cleanups. So when you're out there or park cleanups, doing any kind of cleanup, you're going to log what you pick up. So how many, plastic bags, how many straws, that kind of thing. And that gets put into a international database that the Ocean Conservancy has put together, and then they put out a report at the end of the year on how much of each item was collected throughout the year with all these cleanups. The next one is IC Change. It is a way for students to document flooding around their neighborhood in their community, and that goes also into a database that gets, they use the geotag, they use the time of year as to help into that database, really to document flooding, not just when a storm comes through, but also daytime flooding or king tides that we see down here. So that's IC Change. And then the last one is a new one. We've partnered with a graduate student from FIU a PhD student at FIU, and she is working on a project to study microplastics in the Biscayne Bay. So she is asking high schools, this one is specifically for high schools. She's asking high school students to collect water samples from the bay and then to analyze the microplastics. And that information will also get put into a database for her that she is using towards her PhD. So we can go into more detail about that. That one there will be an additional training used for that. And as that needs some additional equipment, we'll cover the cost of those through our grant program. Barbara, I
so-
don't know if I missed anything.
Yeah, just before we move in, as a couple of teachers, yes, iNaturalist has Seek, and in fact, in the elementary school, we know that that's a little bit easier to use. So we have information on Seek because one of the lessons we have definitely, we want to be able to, highlight that if obviously elementary school, not every elementary school student has a phone to be able to do that. And also all of these are separate apps, and not only for iPhone, but also for Android as well. And that's why also iNaturalist has the Seek, so that the students don't necessarily have to download an app. That you can create a login for your classroom rather than for individual schools. So specifically for the Miami Plastic Patrol, that is going to be geared towards high schools more so, because there is a little bit more, it's a little more intensive. And so what's going to happen with that is there is a little registration, and we'll show you again when we walk through where that is. And there's a form so that you can have a training related to Miami Plastic Patrol and how to implement that. And as Alexandra mentioned, because we are really integrating a lot of citizen science opportunities, we are currently working with the Frost Science Museum to organize a workshop for teachers in November. And we'll send out information once we finalize the date and time. That will just be focused on all of these citizen science opportunities, as well as others such as the Earth Echo Challenge. The Earth Echo International Water Challenge is another one that we've highlighted this year. And again, citizen science is really about involving your students in real world science and helping scientists solve these real world issues. So there'll be more to come about that workshop and about these initiatives this year.
And so then to wrap up kind of the school year, when we think about down the line in April, so we're going to, in April, you have a chance to celebrate the successes. So again, like I mentioned, we know that it correlates around testing season. So that's why there's not, a set lesson or anything like that surrounding April. But we just want you to celebrate kind of Earth Month, Earth Day, by hosting an eco summit. And I'll go into more detail on the next slide. But I will be sending out a teacher survey. Obviously, at the end of the year, we rely on your feedback to improve the program year after year and really make it, what you need to implement into your school. And then, as I already mentioned, we're going to assess the goal that you had set at the beginning of the year. Because we want to, like I mentioned, we want to see kind of the successes and the challenges that you've had. You won't be penalized if you don't reach the goal, but we just want to know, what hurdles you had to go through, maybe how we can help, or what you can do differently for next year to try and achieve that goal. So like I said, the Eco Summit takes place in April. This is an optional activity. It really gives the students a chance to share their green initiatives and all the green activities that they did throughout the year, to really showcase them to the other school members, including other teachers, other students, maybe even parents and community members. We have a lot of schools tie these in with other activities that take place during April. So maybe, like I said, if there's an Earth Day celebration, or if you're going to do a tree planting, or maybe there's a STEAM night, family night that you're going to be having at your school, or some kind of student symposium. Some high schools have put together a student symposium in the past. But it's just a way for schools to really engage other students and teachers and parents, and even community members as well.
And for high schools, for the last couple of years, we've tried to organize ourselves a specific eco summit. We did it last year after a hiatus with COVID. We did it during COVID virtually, but last year we brought it back in person. This year we are making a couple of little changes to it. And again, this is specifically for high school students to present the initiatives that they've been working on all year to others. So we will not be presenting, it will be high school students presenting, but we invite everyone to join and see what initiatives they have put in place. And so last year we had a performance that went along with it. We also invited other community partners for anyone to learn about other organizations, what they're doing and how they can get involved. So more information to come related to this year's Eco Summit. So the awards ceremony, so at the end, we definitely want to highlight and celebrate everything that the students do. So in May, we will have an awards ceremony, and the awards ceremony will highlight the top 3 green schools with the highest overall scores for second and third grade for all 3 levels. So for elementary, for middle, and for high. Then the next 5 top schools will be our green machines. And then our subsequent top 5 after that will be our green rising stars. We also need your help to nominate students, facilities, teachers, and principals that have gone above and beyond and working towards a more sustainable school. And so we highlight those individuals and we provide different certificates, gifts, whatever we can find to really show them that we appreciate the work that they have been doing to support the green schools.
Since the beginning, Dream and Green has been an official partner of Miami-Dade County Public Schools through the STEM department or STEAM department now. So because we are an official partner, participating in the Green Schools Challenge means that your school will get points towards your STEAM or STEM designation. In order to receive those points, there is a minimum requirement that you have to complete of the Green Schools Challenge, and those include completing all the beginning of the year activities, which include the training, putting together a green team pledge, completing the environmental self-assessment, and setting the environmental goal. And then you also have to complete 3 of the 6 monthly activities. So it doesn't matter which of the 3, but you need to complete at least half. So at the end of the school year, you don't have to do anything. I will compile a list of schools that have completed these requirements and submit them to the STEAM office. Broward schools, we try to work with the Broward County Public Schools and specifically the P3 Challenge. Through the P3 Challenge, Broward recognizes schools that learn about and implement environmentally sustainable measures as well as green initiatives with their schools and community. So we feel that the Green Schools Challenge can help directly with curriculum integration and school sustainability. And our grants program can support, school ground enhancement and special projects. So if you're a Broward school and you're thinking of, ways that this can be integrated into the P3 Challenge, we're definitely happy to discuss further with you offline on how we can help you specifically with that.
Some additional special opportunities that we are proud of sharing, and we'll go into a little bit more detail throughout. Still have a lot to go. I keep saying we'll get into it a little later, I feel like, but just to give you a little bit of a teaser on what we have this year. So we have a couple of organizations that are partners this year that have that are working with us to get out to the schools and do special presentations. So Solar United Neighbors, there's a registration form if you would like to have Solar United Neighbors come to your school and do a presentation with your students related to solar energy, energy efficiency, and alternative energy. We also have Miami-Dade County's Department of Environmental Resource Management that it is going out to schools to promote green careers. And so if you have a career day coming up, you know, I know those usually happen a little bit later in the year, but if you have middle and high school students as well that are really interested about what green careers are available locally, they will go out and do a presentation, and there's more detail on a sign up that we've created. And again, some of you are already familiar with Scientists in Every Florida School, and this is more of a virtual presentation, so you can sign up with them to have scientists either work with your students on a specific project or talk generally about the science field. And so again, there's a registration to contact them directly. Then this year, not only will we be doing specific workshops for teachers, but we also, with our partnership with Live Arts, will do student workshops that have an arts component to it. So we'll go into a little bit more for these particular workshops. And, you know, some of you already participated last year in like a recycled instrument orchestra. We're kind of bringing that back this year with a little bit of a change. And we also have some workshops that relate, for example, that support Piano Slam for those of you who are participating in that, and talking about spoken word and poetry. And so those are some workshops that we have planned this year with our partners.
And the last special opportunity we'll mention, this is specifically for high schools for the 4th or 5th year, can't remember, Barbara, that we're bringing the design and build competition back.
This will
Is
be
it
the
our 5th year?
year.
5th
Yep.
year, okay. So this is a competition through the partnership with Florida International University and is open to all schools, high schools enrolled in the Green Schools Challenge. And what we do is we, for the competition, we connect high school teams with graduate students from FIU School of Architecture. And together they're going to reimagine an area to adapt to climate change threats like sea level rise, flooding, that kind of thing. So this year the students will be using the Omni District in north of downtown Miami as a case study and design a building with coastal adaptations to withstand projected sea level rise down in the year 2100. The high school teams will build a 3D model of their design and present their model to a panel of judges in February. So we get together a panel of local experts in the field, including architects, builders, designers, people from municipalities to judge the students' work in February. The Green Schools Challenge, or the Green Leadership Grant Program, will help to reimburse the funds for the building materials for the models. Yeah, I think that's it. So I think we have the registration open already for the design and build competition for high school teams. You can have up to 2 teams per school. And we will try to be connecting the student teams with the graduate mentors, hopefully by the end of this year, before everybody goes on break.
And again, the sooner you register for this, the better, because then we can get those students. We are meeting with the FIU department head for the landscape architecture department, who is has been our partner throughout these couple of years, to make sure that this year we try to, that was one of the comments we got back, to try to match the graduate students with the teens, with the high school teens a little bit earlier this year. So we're going to try to do that. So the sooner you register, the sooner we're able to get those connections going.
And this is built into the lesson for the green living at the high school level. The Green Leadership Grant Program. So every year we award over $10,000 in small grants to schools. And we basically have 2 kind of grants that we provide. The first is kind of the challenge grant, and those are going to be up to $350 to support, challenge activities and green initiatives at your school. Some examples of projects that we've gotten in the past definitely include gardens, whether it's butterfly or an edible garden. Schools have purchased bike racks for the schools to promote biking to school. Purchasing recycling bins, individual recycling bins for their classrooms, purchasing rain barrels for their garden, water filtration systems for their water fountains. So those are just some examples. It's definitely not, it doesn't have to fall within that list, but those are some of the examples that we get year to year. And those are up to $350, and there's an application that you need to fill out for that. And then the second is that we started a couple years ago is the competition or registration fee grant. Those are smaller. Those are only up to $150. Because we really just want to cover the costs of any kind of competition or initiative or registration fee, material reimbursement that your school would need or maybe could not participate without. So we just want to cover those kinds of funds. So like I mentioned, for the design and build competition, those building materials for the 3D models, that would come under this $150 grant. Some additional things that we want to point out that you can use the funds for, like we mentioned before, the Miami Plastic Patrol Citizen Science initiative, that does require some materials. So a grant could be used to cover those kinds of materials. We also partner with the National Wildlife Federation and their schoolyard habitat program, and we've put together some guides and resources. If your school is interested in being certified as a schoolyard habitat, and using a grant for the $350 grant can be used to purchase the materials and supplies necessary to get your school ready to be certified as a schoolyard habitat. So we've put together a budget, or the NWF has put together a budget that you would use on the materials that you would need to get that certification.
And the question is there a limit to how many grants you can receive? So we try to give a challenge and or Eco Summit grant to schools a year and one competition registration fee. So you can apply for multiple grants throughout the year, but we try to just stick to one Eco Summit grant first for a school per year, one competition registration fee. There might be some exceptions because, believe it or not, sometimes we don't have enough schools that submit for grants and we don't want to have any money left over. So you would say, hey, we're giving away money to do all these things, but a lot of teachers would submit applications. You'd be surprised. A lot of people don't submit. A lot of schools don't submit. So sometimes if a teacher says, oh, we already got an Eco Summit grant, but we want to do a competition registration grant and then a challenge grant, we're like, okay, we have the money, nobody else has submitted. So again, to say, please start submitting your grants for that. And then if we're not able to cover, we'll for sure let you know that we're not able to cover it.
Yeah, and I think maybe some teachers are sometimes scared that there's a application or a proposal that you have to complete. We know that those can be onerous. As a nonprofit, we write a lot of grant proposals, so they can be very extensive, but I just want to say that this proposal is very simple, straightforward, asking very easy, straightforward information. We can go over the application afterwards, but I don't want to scare you off when we say that there's a proposal attached. It's very simple to fill out, so we don't want to deter you from applying.
And again, we kind of mentioned our partners for this year, but this is another graphic just showing everyone we're partnering with this year that we are happy to showcase. And then I think we have a video we're going to try, but before we do the video, Alex, it's while you set up for that video, I'm going to put up another poll, and I'm going to end the poll, and I'm going to share results so you guys can see. Almost, we have a lot of new teachers this year. which is great. And obviously we have a lot of our superstar teachers that have been with us for a while. So glad to see that we have this mix. Thank you. All right, Alex. Let's see if this video works.
Yes,
The sound
if it
works a
works.
little better.
No, I'm scared.
Hi, I'm Barbara McAdam.
I'm Dalton Goolsby. We're with the UF IFAS Extension Miami-Dade County Urban Horticulture Program. We offer free programs and workshops for your kids or for you, where you can come and get education on all kinds of things, ranging from local pollinators with Barbara, local plants, watering efficiency, Florida-friendly landscaping, all kinds of awesome environmental sustainability-based subjects that are all reviewed by the University of Florida and its many research affiliates.
Right, and we have free rain barrels for schools, and teachers can attend a composting workshop and pick up a composter.
Definitely.
And we brought plants to share grown from our greenhouse to attract the pollinators.
You can contact us by email, bmcadam@ufl.edu or daltongoolsby@ufl.edu, and you can contact us to schedule a free workshop whenever you'd like, or to hear more about our programs.
Thank you.
Thank you so
We
much.
look forward to working with Dream and Green again this year.
Definitely.
Hello, my name is Marielena Garcia. I am the Florida Education Manager for the National Wildlife Federation, and this year we are partnering with Dream and Green for the Green Leadership Grants. When you apply for these grants, you can use your funds to buy the materials that you need to certify your school garden as a schoolyard habitat from the National Wildlife Federation. So I invite you to please apply for these funds and that you certify your school garden. You can find more information in the Dream and Green page. They're gonna have the link for the Green Leadership Grants, and you can click on that link and you'll see this page.
Hi, I'm Ariel Martinez. I'm from the Miami Eco Adventures Department for Miami-Dade Parks and Recreation. We offer eco and nature-based programs. Right now we have field trips that involve kayaking, animal programs where you can meet our alligator, his name is Chompers. We also have homeschool and summer camp. So you can go to miamidadeparks.com and see what we have to offer, and you can contact Heather or Vanessa, and we can help you out.
So hello everybody, my name is Laura Telez. I'm the South Florida Program Coordinator with Solar United Neighbors. We're a national nonprofit. We help people go solar, join together, and fight for their energy rights. We're really passionate about this abundant sunshine that we have in Florida for powering our lifestyle. So we want to make sure that students learn about this and explore the possibility of solar at their school and homes. So we do presentations, so if you're interested in us coming to the school to do a hands-on presentation, just reach out to us at flteam@solarunitedneighbors.org. You can also go to our website, solarunitedneighbors.org/youth. We have some lesson plans that we develop with Dream and Green. If you have any questions about going solar, or if you as a teacher want to be more comfortable teaching about solar, definitely reach out to us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eva Lizardo. I'm a Special Projects Administrator with the county's Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources, Division of Environmental Resources Management, better known as DERM. We are charged with protecting our environment, our environmental resources, which include air, our water, our natural systems, and our soils. This is a complicated and very challenging task, and so we accomplish this through a variety of methods, including regulation, permitting, inspections, and actually what we're doing right now, which is education. We are working with Dream in Green to offer the career opportunities module to explain all the opportunities in the environmental field within our department. We are available for other issues that you may want us to come into the classroom to discuss. And we are also the main sponsors of Baynanza, which this year celebrated its 40th anniversary, educating people about the importance of the Bay and sponsoring our Baynanza Beach Cleanup Day. And we are also the main sponsors of Miami-Dade County's Adopt a Tree program, offering 2 free trees to households in Miami-Dade County. If you would like any further information, you can reach out to us at either baynanza@miamidade.gov, Adopt a Tree @miamidade.gov, or dermoutreach@miamidade.gov. Thank you. We look forward to assisting you guys in any way possible.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a museum educator at the Frost Science Museum, and we offer many programs for you teachers inside your classrooms. If that's something that you're interested in, we offer enhanced field trips and just general field trips at our museum. If you would like to learn more about these programs, you can email us at fieldtrips@frostscience.org.
And my name's Lauren. I work for one of the conservation programs at Frost Science, and we focus on community engagement and coastal resilience. So we offer field trips and outreach activities that focus around coastal resilience. And we have several citizen science initiatives like CleanSwell and iNaturalist, the City Nature Challenge, just to get kids excited about the outdoors and to recognize the power of the individual and our ability to contribute to science in a meaningful way. And if you want to learn more about our program, you can email MOVE, which is spelled MUVE, @frostscience.org. We also give community service hours at all of our events and community service hours for students who are using citizen science apps at home. So thanks.
Good morning, I'm Carlene Sawyer and I'm with the Dranoff Foundation. Dranoff presents Piano Slam, which is a music and arts integrated program with STEAM certification. This year, working with Dream and Green, our theme for writing about art and music is the unevenness of light and shade. So our STEAM track is about our urban heat index, the canopy of trees that's provided in some neighborhoods, but not all, and what extreme heat is happening with global warming right in our hometown. That's Piano Slam, pianoslam.org. We are in the schools for 16 years, and there are 4 $1,000 prizes for your students and $100 prizes for teachers. There's a massive resource with STEAM and science, public health, our environment, and particularly this year, what's happening with extreme heat. Thanks to Dream and Green, that's pianoslam.org, www.pianoslam.org.
Hello, my name is Melinda Padwani. I'm a PhD student at Florida International University, and today what I'm offering to the teachers of Dream and Green is my citizen science project. So it's called Miami Plastic Patrol, and in this project, teachers would obtain a kit with some materials. They would go out to Biscayne Bay, collect water samples, which is just a glass jar and scooping some water, bring it back to their classrooms, and then they would go through a plastic analysis phase where you would look for these plastics, stain your filters with Nile Red, and then people get to put on these really fun orange glasses, use a blue light, and count the microplastics that you find in the water. And then you upload that data into EpiCollect 5, which is a free online data platform. And this is real data. This is part of my dissertation, but it's also really the purpose of it is to inform policy here in Miami-Dade County. So I'm hoping to get the community engaged in really solving the plastic problem. And you can find more information on this project through Dream and Green's partner list. I have a link on there that sends you to the EpiCollect 5 page, and I also have a sign-up form if you're interested in participating. There are 2 required training days, but all of that information is on the Google form, which is also provided through Dream and Green.
Hi, I'm Maite Munoz, Sustainability Officer at Amerant Bank. And I am Andrea Holscher. I am the environmental champion at Amaranth Bank. And we're here today because we would like to gauge and understand how banking can help in the future of the environmental crisis. And we are here with Dreaming Green, a wonderful organization who is focused on environmental education. We're happy to sponsor it.
If you'd like to learn more about our program and everything that we're doing for the environment and society, please visit us at www.amaranthbank.com/ESG.
Thank you.
So it is 11 o'clock. I know a lot of you have been sitting for a while, so we are going to take a small break, and then we are going to introduce our next presenter for the day. Welcome back, everybody. I have the pleasure of introducing our next presenter, which comes to us from Live Arts Miami, from Miami-Dade College. We have been working with her now. This is going to be our 3rd year. And so glad that we have connected and have been able to build this curriculum, which I think is really interesting. And like we said, it really brings the arts into STEM to really create a STEAM program. And so with that, I'd like for Catherine to introduce herself a little bit more and for her to take it away on some of the opportunities we have for you this year.
Thank you, Barbara. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday afternoon. My name is Catherine Garcia. As Barbara mentioned, I'm with Live Arts Miami, part of Miami-Dade College's Department of Cultural Affairs. We've been around in this town for over 30 years. We occupy the performing arts space alongside our colleagues. You might know Miami Book Fair, Miami Film Festival. Well, the college really has all the disciplines covered, and we happily occupy that space for performing arts, music, dance, and theater. And our mission really is about empowering students, teachers, and audiences to create change in our community through the performing arts. The arts are a tremendous tool to engage and enliven student learning and to inspire action and new thought, right? So along those lines, in 2019, we started a program we call Ecocultura. And that is a series of performances for the planet, dynamic music, dance, theater events that really serve to educate, inspire, and create action around our environmental challenges. We've been running it for 3 years now. It's almost 4. And we were very happy, as Barbara mentioned, to connect and find this opportunity to create some STEAM offerings for Dreaming Green and the Green Schools Challenge. So I'm going to jump into this worksheet. Well, just so you all know, it's beautifully hyperlinked to all the resources that you might need directly, that when you have the sheet, you can explore on your own. So I want to start with some of the in-person workshops. We were really happy and surprised to go into schools in person last year. We didn't expect it, but we were delighted to do it. And we're going to be doing it again. So some of you who, I think I saw a few familiar names, some of you might have already experienced these. Some are coming back and some are new. One module that we did is called the Recycled Orchestra. This is going to be available this fall semester, the entire fall semester. Here you'll see a little to sign up, click here module. That's how you'll let us know if you're interested. You click on that sheet, it'll come directly to us. You identify a few dates, we'll contact the artist and see and arrange the availability to come into your school. What is it? Recycled Orchestra is tied to the waste pillar. There is an instrument making lesson where you on your own have all the resources to guide your students in making instruments out of trash. All sorts of instruments, drums, string instruments, horns. It's a really fun activity, and we saw so many cool objects that the kids created last year. And if you want to take it a step further, you can invite in an artist, a musician into your classroom to show the students how to play. Yeah, Alyssa, we had a great time at your school. We have a new artist this year. His name is Michael Gil. He's a Cuban-American percussionist, familiar with every instrument under the sun from around the world. So he's going to come into the classroom and show your students all sorts of instruments they may have never seen or heard of, and really those that actually mimic the sounds of nature, right? And then from there, he'll talk a little bit about the science of making sound, when they made their instruments, why some sound this way, why some sound that way, right? And then, of course, jump into creating that orchestra with your students. So he'll break everyone up into groups, and everyone will start on some different polyrhythms and sound, which will come together to create some beautiful music. So that's Recycled Orchestra. Don't miss that. It's really available for any grade level. We can adapt to any audience. The second workshop is Earthverse. So this is poetry for the planet. And I think you heard earlier, Piano Slam is an opportunity this year. And that's really exciting that this can culminate in students performing at the Adrienne Arsht Center and competing for a $1,000 prize. Well, we want to help facilitate that. So we have a series of resource videos, which I'll get to in a second, that include how to write a poem from our friends at Art Prevails Project. And we also have the opportunity this year for those poets to come into the classroom and work with your students to further their poems, maybe get them up on their feet and perform them. So that's going to be available all spring semester. And again, the sign-up link is right there. Okay, so another thing that was just a fantastic experience last year were field trips. We didn't know if we could do them, but we did them. And we had some wonderful experiences last year. And we've just confirmed, actually, a couple field trips that'll be happening this year. 3, actually. So we'll have a number of different opportunities throughout the year. The first one I'm going to talk about briefly is an amazing theater experience, really geared, I think, for high school students. That's called Ocean Filibuster. It's set in a Senate where the water has already risen, and that Senate is proposing an end of ocean bill. The ocean comes in human form to filibuster and defend herself. And through that process, you learn amazing facts about the ocean itself. This is actually a production that started at the American Repertory Theater at Harvard. And ART collaborated with the Harvard Center for the Environment, the scientists there, to create this play. And the scientists said the first thing they wanted to achieve was to translate some of that wonder and awe they feel when they learn all these amazing things about our ocean to the general public. So that is what happens throughout the course of the filibuster. And then it really begs the question at the end, what is responsibility? What is our role? So there's a lot of ethics in there, obviously the mechanics of government, and some incredible ocean wonder. There's also an interactive intermission where students can engage in a number of mini labs, like an AR experience to see the deep ocean floor. So this is an amazing experience. It'll happen at the Adrienne Arsht Center Carnival Studio Theater. It'll be very limited capacity, so please sign up. Those signups will be ready probably mid-September to October, so keep yourself linked into Dream in Green for when those come out. We also have a field trip in December for high school students. Again, music students, if we don't have all that many music teachers right now, please tell all your colleagues in art and music and theater that these opportunities are there. They're free for your classes. We have a concert by a jazz pianist named Fabian Almazan, which is happening at the Kubik Center in Little Havana. And it's about sacrifice zones. He went and interviewed communities in Florida that are in so-called sacrifice zones, or areas that bear the brunt of environmental harm, areas where next to landfills or other processing plants. And you can go see this concert live at the Kubik Center in December. And then the last one we have is in the spring. That's going to be around the beginning of February. And it's called Notes for Tomorrow with a local artist named Sandra Portal Andreu. She has done so much work. Actually, one of her pieces is here, the film Circa. It's a film she created with students throughout Miami-Dade County, asking them the question, what will Miami look like in 2050? It's a 10-minute animated short with all the drawings of those students coming to life and the words of those students being set to music by local band Afro Beta. This is going to be shown at this field trip alongside a performance that she created with Miccosukee artist Betty Osceola. It's followed by an activity that will be led by the amazing Climate Crusader, a visual artist, which is about leaving notes for tomorrow that will be put into a time capsule that could be left at your school. You could bury it in the ground. They also are taking some of them to the Everglades, to the Miccosukee Reservation to bury them as well. So it's a really special project. That's really more for elementary and middle. That'll be happening this spring. Okay, so those are all the live in-person goodness that we've got for you this academic year. But I also want to talk about some of the video resources, books, and films that we have at your disposal to aid in your teaching in the classroom. So we made video tutorials before we knew we could come into the classroom, and it's great because you can use them anytime, anywhere. A lot of them are tied to the lesson plans because in so many ways, all the different learning that students are doing about solar, about green living, about waste, about water, etc., those can all be translated in end projects through artful means, right? So how to make a zine, a lot of times we have different dioramas or different presentations. One of those options, I think, is kids making a zine. It's considered an art form now. Zine is short for magazine. And there's a couple of videos, a 2-part series about different ways to fold the paper and put it together to communicate your message, your story. How to write a poem, we talked about, Art Prevails project. They're specifically tying these to the food security pillar. But in the in-person workshops, they can certainly come in and talk about heat issues, that to Piano Slam. How to create shadow puppetry is one of my favorites. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's incredibly beautiful and easier than you think. There's an amazing artist we've worked with. Her name is Miwa Matreyek from Los Angeles. And she shows you actually really simple ways to create shadow puppetry. You just need a projection surface and a light source, and kids can do cutouts. Whenever they have to tell something in a story, this is a great way to do it. The books and films are also available. Circa, I mentioned. If you can't make it to the field trip, you can still watch the 10-minute film with your students, and there's a series of questions and activities to do afterwards. Landfill Harmonic really ties to recycled orchestra and that instrument making worksheet. This is a film, a feature-length film for any movie days you might have. Which is about a group of children who live next to a landfill in Paraguay. And they make music out of that landfill. They pull out that trash, make instruments, and it's an incredibly inspiring story. Last but not least, we have something called I Can Make a Water Dance, which is wonderful for elementary students. It's about taking us through the water cycle through dance. So really looking at the movement qualities of water and translating that into our own bodies, because sometimes we're so disconnected from nature as individuals. This is really about feeling nature in yourself and embodying it, right? So this is a great book as well as video tutorial resource that's linked down there about how to create an ocean dance. So this is it. This is what we've got for this academic year. We hope we get a chance to come into your classrooms with some of these great workshops and that we'll be able to see you at the amazing field trips. And please take advantage of all the resources. I neglected to mention the Water Dance book. There's a sign-up sheet if you'd like us to purchase one for you. Just let us know and we'll be doing orders sporadically throughout the year. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for your time. Have an artful day. Make sure to get some creativity into those classrooms. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And as you can see in this, we still are missing a couple of the links, especially for the field trips. Just because we want to make sure we have the dates. We're working with MDCPS Cultural Passport to make sure that the buses will be covered for those field trips. And so this is just to give you an idea on some of the things that you can sign up for already, the workshops, the video tutorials you can use, the books and films. The only thing that is still not linked and is just the field trips. And as you could see, Catherine, we don't have the other field trip opportunities in here, but we were trying to make sure we had everything
And a quick
ready.
update on that from the Cultural Passport Office is that will be that is confirmed. They will be working with us, and it'll be up and active on the Cultural Passport site through the county public school system in September.
And again, this could be a great way to get another school involved. As we mentioned before, if you have friends at another school that hasn't participated before in the Green Schools Challenge, get them to register, and you can also be, entered into a prize raffle where we will be at the end of August giving out some prizes to teachers for bringing in new ones. So to access the links, I see a couple of questions there. Alex will give us the link, put the link on the chat of this particular PDF. And in fact, we are now going to go into looking at our guidebooks so that you can find where all of these things we've kind of been showing. And so if I see somebody saying they would like to request the book, apply, and again, we'll see what we can do. If we don't get a lot of teachers that request, then we'll make exceptions for the upper grades as well too. Thank you, Catherine, so much for joining us.
Have a great rest of your day.
And now we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of the website. And so what we're going to do is, Alex, do you have those websites ready or up?
Yeah, I just put it into the chat.
Perfect.
I'm quick with the copy paste.
So if you look at your chat, the website that you have on there, Green Schools Challenge, will show you exactly where you can find the 3 guidebooks, and you will see an elementary, a middle, and a high. And if you can join with us, we'll walk you through this. We also have some how-to videos on our YouTube. But this is a way for you to now ask questions on where to find things, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on the lessons themselves in a second. But Alex, please go ahead and walk us through this.
Sure. So the link that I dropped in the chat sends you to our main website. I know that as soon as your school is enrolled, I did send you direct access to the individual curriculum links, but just in case, if you don't want to go back and find my email from however months ago, I just want to show you how to directly access all the curriculum. So this is our website, dreamandgreen.org. And so under our programs, under the Academy, you'll see the tab for the Green Schools Challenge. And when you click on that, all 3 of the guidebooks should show up as soon as the links. There we go. So you'll see here exactly what you saw in the PowerPoint, all 3 guidebooks, elementary, middle, and high school. So when you click on each of those links, it will send you to what we call the curriculum website or the guidebook website. I just want to point out that basically the overall framework is very similar for all 3. The only thing that is different, again, are the individual lessons, and then potentially, like the bonus activities. Those are separate for elementary, middle, and high.
And special opportunities.
And special opportunities, yes, my apologies. So this will, yeah.
Let's see, she's going to share again for those.
Oh, she can.
Yeah, couldn't see. Let's share one
time. Now, okay.
Awesome.
Now you see the guidebook?
Yep, thumbs up
okay.
If you guys can see the screen.
Okay. So this is the what we call the guidebook curriculum websites. So it'll send you to the home page. Like I said, the framework is very similar for all 3. And anything and everything you're going to need to implement the Green Schools Challenge will be found on this website. So for example, you've already seen this graphic of the overview. Specifically here, this link is what we'll talk about later, has the overall lessons with descriptions. We'll specifically go into this afterwards. But on the left-hand side, you'll see all the tabs, the menu for the guidebook, like I said, for everything that you would need. So for example, under home, if you have any questions about how you earn points, what gets you points, this outlines, kind of the rules of the Green Schools Challenge, any rubrics or point breakdowns you'll find here, and how many maximum points you'll get. We also include a calendar of events that include any special dates that we have coming up. For example, you can see here our 2 professional development trainings are linked within here. And then these are some additional dates that we have set up for now. And obviously, as we set dates for field trips, for additional PDs, this will be constantly updated throughout the year. Well, I want to point out the special opportunities page, since we specifically talked about that earlier. For example, these special opportunities are all for experts and individuals to come into the classroom or virtually to host a presentation to address your students. And with each, you can see that there is a registration form, so directly linked in here. So if you do click on it, it'll send you to a sign up. Barbara, you can see that, right?
Yes, I
So
can.
yeah, okay. So for example, this is for Solar United Neighbors to come into your classroom to discuss solar power and solar panels. So this is their sign up sheet, and it includes, you have to give them some dates and choices on different times that work for you, but mostly all those are set up the same way. So like I said, these are the 4 partners that we have that can come into the classroom. And then these are the citizen science opportunities that we have available. Each of them have a description as well as where you'll go to download the application. So for example, this is the elementary page, and you do not see the Miami Plastic Patrol citizen science opportunity because that is specifically for the high school level. So that would be how this page would differ, that they would have an extra citizen science opportunity in their page. So if we start with the beginning of the year activities, again, you've already seen this graphic in our presentation, but it includes the application link, which I'll put into the chat afterwards if there are any schools that have not enrolled yet. But we discussed, having examples of different pledges that schools can have. So that is linked here as well. Any kind of reference or resource will be directly linked into these websites. So, and we use Google Forms for pretty much almost everything. So for example, for the environmental self-assessment that we discussed that's aligned with the Green Apple designation, it's always going to be a Google form. We find that to be, the easiest and most efficient way for not only you to fill out, but for us to gather that information. And then, there's also a Google form for the 3rd pillar, which is the environmental yearly goal. So that's just kind of the beginning of the year activities that you can reference always. And then here on the left, you'll find the 6 topics that we discussed: energy efficiency, water quality, waste reduction, green living, alternative transportation, and food security. So these are all set up in the exact same way. Depending on for each topic, we want to kind of outline what the problem is under that sustainability topic, why should you care, and what can we really do to mitigate the impact or our environmental footprint when it comes, for example, to energy efficiency. And here's where you're going to find the actual lessons themselves. So like we mentioned before, there are going to be 3 lessons at the elementary level. One for pre-K through 1st, one through 2nd through 3rd, and one for 4th and 5th. And again, at the middle and high, there would just be 1 lesson here. So that's how that differs. And so if you click on each one, it is set up, in a lesson format that we showed before, with title, objectives, materials, procedures, that kind of thing. And then any evaluation, which is what you would submit, you will find here. We also want to include, additional resources, and then the benchmarks that align with that lesson will be found at the end. So in addition to providing you with lessons, we also know that some of you are already have your own lessons that you're doing that may align with one of these sustainability topics or multiple. So we want to give you the opportunity to create your own. You don't necessarily have to use ours. You are more than welcome to use your own, but we just need to know what that lesson would be. So there is an associated Google form to let us know what the lesson was that you submitted. And a lot of the times we do get some great ideas from the lessons that you submit under Create Your Own, and we have in the past sometimes integrated portions of those into our lessons. So once you complete the lesson plan and you have, yeah, Barbara.
No, go ahead.
Oh, so you took a breath. I thought you wanted to say something. So once you've completed the activity or the lesson and you have the deliverable, each one has an associated submission form, which would be at the bottom of the page. And again, like I mentioned, it is a Google form, and it follows the rubric that Barbara had outlined before. So, we need the information on your school, who the audience was that completed the lesson, the total number of participants, whether they be students, staff, parents, or community. We want to know which lesson you did. For example, the pre-K, second or third, or Create Your Own. Obviously, this form would be different for the middle and high school since there is only one associated lesson. And then the evaluation portion would be here. And then, as I mentioned, now we can add attachments directly into the Google form. So here's where you would add files that include photos, videos. If you need to submit student essays, that would all go here. And something I just want to point out is that I don't need everybody's deliverables. I don't need all the students' examples submitted to me. This is just to get an idea of the student work. So I'd only maybe need 2, maximum 3 of student examples. I don't need more than that, but here's where you would add them. If you do have any issues with file size, if it's limited here in the Google form, then just email it to me. You're more than welcome to still send me attachments. We find, the Google Drive works well, that Dropbox works well. If you're not familiar with WeTransfer.com, WeTransfer.com, it's a very simple, free way to upload multiple documents and send in a single email that I can download and you get a receipt. So those are options as well if you are limited by the size in the submission form. Barbara, anything else we want to mention just about the lessons themselves?
So the lessons, the only thing I want to mention is in the elementary, you see there, schools can choose to do more than one activity, but that the maximum amount of points a school can earn for this topic is the same. So, a lot of teachers submit different lessons for just the energy efficiency and conservation, but the maximum you can earn from your school is what is in the rubric. We want to see what you guys have done. So don't think, if there are multiple teachers participating at the school and have done various lessons, we'd like to get the feedback on the lessons. But just so you know, it isn't like you'll get, 50 points if you submit 5 lessons in just the energy efficiency and conservation there.
Yeah, exactly. I'll point out the bonus activity page. Again, this is just for the elementary school themselves. But again, there is a submission form for each of the levels that go along with the bonus activities. And so here, when it asks what activity you participated in, there is a drop down that includes all of those that are on that list. But then there is an option for other if it's not on that list. So if we didn't include it and it's something new to us, then feel free to just click other and then please just explain what that is. If it's going to be, like a sneaker drive that you have, or I know that some schools collect, all the crayons or markers and send them back to Crayola. That's definitely an environmental initiative. So you're more than welcome to include that in here. And then any supporting documentation that you may have. And then I will point out, here, the Green Leadership Grants that we talked about before. Again, you can see that we have the two different types, the monthly challenge grant and the competition style grant. If you click on the application form, just to give you an idea, we will need your basic school information. Where does this project kind of fall under, which of the 6 topics or an Eco Summit grant? And just kind of the summary of the project, what the timeline is looking like, what your budget is, we need to know what you're gonna spend that $350 on, but we don't need receipts. You don't need to collect receipts and send them back to us. We just need to know, you need some kind of budget so we know what the money is gonna be spent on. Kind of what the problem your project is facing or you're addressing, who's gonna benefit, the overall goal, and how you're gonna track the success of the project. And then obviously, please let me know who to make the check out to. If your school is selected for a grant, we will not write checks to individuals. So I need to write a check to the school or the PTA, or if there's a science club with a bank account, that information would go here.
And just to follow up on that, this is a great activity for middle and high school students to do on your own. And in fact, for high school students, we highly recommend that you get a PDF of this form and have them go through the process of how to apply for funds in a grant. Have them come up with exactly what the project will be. And if you're looking for ways in which to do that, Alex, go down a little bit. I think we have Earth Force there. There's a great resource from a national organization that specifically focuses on bringing advocacy into the classroom, starting at the middle school, and they have a great program. They have these support materials to get your students to go through the process of thinking of an idea. And so they have how to get them to think of a project goal and create a strategy statement, an action planning worksheet, and even a cause and effect tree. Why do they want to do this project? What is this project or action solving? And so we've highlighted, they have a 6-step process, but we've highlighted 3 of those steps. And just, it's a great way to get your students to think about, let's, build a garden. Build a garden is great, but is it solving a problem? Is there something else that you can do? Is there a community project that your students would like to take outside of the classroom? So again, it's a great resource. We have it in the elementary school, but their full program is for middle and high, but we've worked with them to get these support materials to you to help your students think through that process. And again, below, as Alexandra mentioned before, and you saw in our video with NWF, here is information on how to use a Green Leadership Grant to get your school certified as a schoolyard habitat. And if you click on that link, you will have like a step-by-step guide that NWF created this year to help you with that, and that she showcased in the video.
And I think the last thing we'll point out specifically in the guidebook is the toolkit, which includes additional training resources. So for example, here you'll find the training video that we tried to play that you can access later on. But we've also created additional specific website guide videos that will walk you through the website if you have any questions on how to enroll the school, how to access the curriculum, and then how to walk you through a Green Leadership Grant. Here is where you're actually going to find the recording for today's training. Obviously, this is from last year, so this will be updated Monday, Tuesday at the latest. If you would like us to come to your school in person or virtually to complete another training, like a smaller training to address your team or your STEAM team, there is a training request form here. We also include a parent letter if you'd like to let parents know what you guys are doing, what the Green Schools Challenge is, what their students are doing. And then a couple years ago, we did do a training specifically on Green Apple designation that you can access the presentation here. And then also Sheena is our contact at FDEP, who oversees the Green Apple designation program. So if you have any information or any questions about Green Apple designation specifically, we do have this as a resource here. Barbara, is there anything else we want to point out before we discuss lessons specifically?
There is just one poll that I want to put up, just to see if we missed anything or if there are additional questions. So what I'll do is I'll launch this poll, then we'll go into the specific lessons, and then we can use this poll result to see if they're, to go through the Q&A before we finish up for today. So the poll I'm launching that you should see on your screen is what information would you like to learn more about today, or you had questions about as we went through, maybe we went through too fast, and you have a question you'd like to ask later on. So just to see what we can focus on when we do our Q&A. So again, the choices on what you would like to learn more about today is, either Green Leadership Grants or the special opportunities we discussed, the featured citizen science projects, earning bonus points, and how to submit entries. So again, I'm just going to put this poll up, and that will help us to determine what we should go into.
Excuse me, Barbara.
Yes.
With the bank account, you mean like the principal will have a bank account? Let's say like we're going to start this for the first time. This school doesn't have guardian, nothing. So it's the first time. So I will have to tell the principal to set up an account and name a program. Like I can just say the Dream Green Challenge, and that way when the check comes, it goes there and she knows that is for the Dream Green.
Yeah, Alex, have you?
That we're gonna. Because in the past, I worked at the school, Ruth K, and everything was set up. So here, everything is new. So that's why I'm asking, because I don't know. Over there, when I got there, I know that they had an account for the gardening club that I used to do with Ms. Miller, and our money will go in there. But so I guess I have to tell people like I'm going to be applying for this grant, and so it goes into that club for us, so we can spend the money for what we're going to start, like that. I just want to make sure so the money goes to the right place.
Alex, do you have any insight on that? What have you seen, or other teachers maybe how they've set that up?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they've set it up, but that you would need to coordinate, with the administration office and as to where the money should be sent. I know that in the past, sometimes some teachers run into problems because the money gets put into, the school bank account, and then they have trouble getting reimbursement. So I do send like additional letters trying to help them to get those funds back. So it would probably be helpful to have a conversation first, rather than, figuring it out later, because once the money is, gone from our account, then we don't really have any control on it. So I would ask them where they would want you to send the money for you to be able to access it or get reimbursed from first. And then that's who you would let us know who to make the check out to.
Any teachers that are here today that might have a similar thing, Esther? What would you recommend?
Yeah, different schools are going to put in a different line item depending on where the principal wants to put the money for easy accessibility. So talk to your school treasurer, which is usually either a separate person or this principal's secretary, because they'll know for sure. If they don't know, they'll find out, and then they can create it wherever it is they need it to be, so it's easier for you to get reimbursed or whatever.
And then Pam also on the chat suggested to set up a booster club or use a club account as well.
Also, I'd be very careful. PTA, I restarted the PTA at my school. They are not allowed to receive funds or put funds that are not for whole school use. So you would need to speak to the PTA if you're going that route, with the treasurer or the president, and find out what they're doing. They need to be very careful because they get audited. And if it's just for a specific, if you're doing it as a club, or like I am doing all of this through my class, my magnet class, they cannot accept funds from me, or they can accept donations, not grant money. But anything that goes into PTA coffers is for the use of the entire school, not particular groups. Legally, every PTA does different things.
Yeah, thank you, Esther. And a couple of other people in the chat have also given some suggestions as well. Some schools use the PTA, some schools use the trust grant accounts. Definitely great suggestion. So it seems like a conversation at your school is definitely
Thank you.
yeah,
I asked because we're starting a PTA, so we don't have we just starting a PTA, so I cannot go through the PTA. That's why I was asking. I don't want to.
It's a long process.
Thank you.
You can reach out to me if you want some advice.
Gotcha. Yeah. And again, if you have a particular question that maybe other teachers can help, I saw a couple of conversations in the chat. You know, if you're a magnet lead and want to connect with some other magnet leads, or again, we had a good number of teachers that were new to this process. And so if you have questions that maybe, you know, specifically for schools that we might not know, it would be great to connect with some of these amazing teachers that have been participating with us for a while. So yep, check the chats. I see also some other museum magnets and information and magnet leads. So I think now, before we go into some of the other, and I have identified through the poll that we just did, a couple of things we'll come back to with the Q&A. We are going to go through now the lessons to give you an overview of the objectives and where some of these special opportunities fall into the lesson. So Alex, if you can show everybody where that overview is, she has it is on the chat, so you can follow along with us as we go, and that is also
on the
in our
homepage.
homepage right there. And here you have all the lessons basically from pre-K through 12th grade. And the reason why we included all of the lessons on each of the guidebooks, because this is an easy way, this is an easy document that you can print out if you're in one of the combination schools, you know, if you teach K through 8 or 6 through 12 or K through 12. So you have an overview of all of the lessons that we've created. Also, you might be interested in a lesson that's not maybe specifically for your grade level. So there might be a 5th grade teacher here that looks at the middle school lessons and is like, oh, this is really interesting. I want to do that. Or, you know, same thing, an 8th grade teacher looks at maybe the middle school lesson and is interested in doing that. When we had our in-person meeting at Terra on Tuesday, we had some teachers that were 3rd grade teachers, and they were art teachers specifically, and they were like, oh, but I really like the middle school lesson that you did for this particular topic. Can we do it? Of course you can. Obviously, the only thing that would be different is that we only have the benchmarks for that particular grade level. So the benchmarks wouldn't necessarily fall in. There might be some, you know, especially for like the gifted and language arts that goes through, you know, K through 8 or, you know, 6 through 12. Some of those benchmarks kind of encompass various grade levels. But if really, the benchmarks are not what you're focusing in, then no worries. You can kind of take a look at what the objectives and what the lesson is. And if you're interested in doing, if you're a middle school teacher but want to do an elementary school lesson, please feel free to do that. You would just tell us when you do the entry form. You would just say, yes, I used the lesson for 4th, 5th grade instead of the middle school or instead of the high school, just to give you a little bit more flexibility as well. So with that, I'm going to go quickly through the objectives of these lessons and some of these special initiatives that will go into citizen science and special opportunities. So starting with elementary, the pre-K through 1st grade lessons. The energy efficiency and conservation lesson is called Energy Scavenger Hunt in my neighborhood. And we updated this lesson from previous year and really goes through students identifying kinetic energy and potential energy around schools and in their homes. And then they will learn and identify sources of energy conducting an energy scavenger hunt. And we have a worksheet that is, we'll have them looking for energy sources in and around their school and or home, and identifying where maybe possibly this could be changed and where the energy that powers these comes from. The benchmark is heavily science, but it's a great opportunity to have your students do a community building lesson. For water quality and conservation, the lesson is Color Me Blue, and students will learn facts about manatees and sea turtles and discuss and advocate for why it is important to protect them by creating a class coloring book to share. So each student creates one sheet in this coloring book with different facts. And this is a great STEAM initiative because you can, for example, use the zine resources or the shadow puppetry as well. But specifically, we have put in some formats so that the students can create their own manatee and sea turtle coloring books. All of the water quality and conservation, as well as the waste reduction and recycling lessons this year, we have partnered with Ocean Conservancy to create. And so you'll see this year we're focusing on some animals, something that we haven't done in previous years as much, and specifically on manatees and sea turtles, because they're such lovable animals and they need our help. So for that, science, gifted, social studies, language arts benchmarks are included. For the waste reduction and recycling, students will be learning about what recycling means, why it's important, and how it supports waste management strategies. And then it's a hands-on activity where they will create their own paper to use as a canvas. So again, a science and visual arts, this can also be a STEAM integration because they're creating their own canvas. For green living, we have schoolyard discovery, and all of our green living this year are focusing on the heat island effect. It is getting hotter. You guys have noticed, you've probably seen in the news, we have a lot more extreme heat days. I know my dogs are feeling it. I know I'm feeling it. I know that people in our community are feeling it. So this particular lesson will start with the younger students learning about the benefits of trees and how they can help against, how the trees can help against the hazards of heat. They will map out their schoolyard and identify locations where they would put additional trees to shade their school. So science, language arts, and some special skills benchmarks. For alternative transportation, the lesson is on the move. Students will identify different methods of transportation, learn about their advantages and disadvantages, have a discussion about that, and then they will create a poster to promote more environmentally friendly ways. promoting things like walking, biking, or carpooling. This is also an activity that you could tie into walk to school or bike to school day and earn bonus points as well. And so the benchmarks for that are science, visual arts, and language arts. For food security, the last of the themes, the students will describe the characteristic of plants' seed and identify the basic needs of plants, water, light, and nutrients. They'll also describe how seeds are dispersed and create seed bombs. And so this is an NWF lesson that we created with them, and it's heavy on science and social studies. For energy efficiency at the second and third grade level, now starting with second, third, students will identify different forms of renewable energies, draw comparisons, and analyze the benefits of alternative energy sources. And again, tied to this lesson is the extension of having solar energy. Solar United Neighbors come and give a class presentation to solar energy with science and gifted benchmarks. For water quality and conservation, coastal marine ecosystem lesson will have students look at what a healthy marine ecosystem should have, and a description of how sea turtles and/or manatees, they get a chance to choose which of those they prefer to research, live there, and explain, and an explanation of why the habitat is important. And so the students will explore the food chain of these animals, identify their threats, and then there are two choices on what the evaluation for this lesson. One of the choices is really heavy into STEAM, where the students will create a play and will be doing a puppet show to show the story of one of these animals and what issues and threats they're facing. And so that's a great STEAM initiative, and it focuses on the benchmarks of science, STEAM, science, theater, language arts. And again, if at the second, third grade level, they want to try to do a shadow puppet, shadow puppetry is also in there as a resource video. For the waste reduction and recycling, composting in a jar. So students learn the basics of composting, specifically what it means to decompose versus biodegrade. And then they will do an experiment to learn about the process of decomposition. Really heavy on science for that one. On the green living lesson, it's how hot is your school? Again, talking about the urban heat island effect. Students will be collecting temperatures in different locations of their school to understand how important shade trees can be. Also, concrete versus grass versus other materials. So this lesson will require for the students to have a thermometer. Again, this is something that we've been told like all science teachers at this level should have. Oh, sorry, Alex, I see you're living there. Sorry. And so this has a great resource from NASA listed that you can use for additional lessons on the urban heat island effect. And benchmarks for that are science, math, and gifted. For alternative transportation, it's a lesson called Pretzel Power, where students are learning about different kinds of energy efficiency in vehicles and the benefits of carpooling, and compare fuel efficiency across different vehicles and calculate how much gas is needed to travel specific distance. Again, really topical right now with the gas prices. Thank goodness they've now started going down. But I'm sure this is something that even at the second, third grade, they've listened to their parents about and heard a lot about. So we wanted to put a lesson to then have a conversation about energy efficiency in transportation. So science, social studies, and math benchmarks are there. And then the last theme, food security for second and third, it's food preservation, salting, and pickling. So students will pickle their own cucumbers to understand the effectiveness of traditional it's traditional and modern food preservation. So there's a little bit about GMOs and for students to learn about what a GMO is, and then the hands-on activity with creating their own pickling activities. So science, physical education, and health go along with those. Now moving on to the 4th and 5th graders at the elementary. For energy efficiency and conservation, we have the benefits of solar energy. So this is a lesson that we've highlighted before, and it's really popular, where students create their solar ovens. And again, the extension on that one is to have Solar United Neighbors come and do a presentation there. Benchmarks are science and language arts. For water quality and conservation, we want students to look at the seagrasses. There are a lot of issues locally right now with our seagrasses. I'm sure you all in the news have heard of the fish kills that have been going on. There had been a high incident of manatee deaths last year because of the lack of seagrasses. So this is to have your students introduced to the threats of our local environment and what makes a healthy ecosystem, and taking what they learn and create a diorama. Again, a great STEAM initiative. And so science, language arts, and visual arts for that one. Waste reduction and recycling. A great resource that I recommend actually for all teachers is a website that's called Story of Stuff. It is a website that has different videos that go through different topics related to consumerism. And the videos are fantastically done. And so this one, we highlighted one of their videos to we want the students to log the amount of waste they generate in a week. So this is an activity, like a little experiment they'll have to do. And then they'll have to decide where that waste will go, kind of sort out. Does it go into the garbage? Can it go into recycling? Can it go into composting? Or, sometimes if it goes into the street, what happens to it? So it's definitely another STEAM initiative, because you can have them do a creative writing or a zine related to where the waste goes. And for those that have been participating in previous years with us, another one of our partners has been an organization called Deedly. And Deedly has these amazing lessons tied to these videos with different organizations, national and international organizations that are working on different themes. And so Deedly lessons are free for all of our teachers. And we have highlighted one of those Deedly lessons for this particular lesson. And so there's a link in that in the lesson where it'll take you to the Deedly platform, and you will register for the Dream in Green curriculum, and you'll have access to a great lesson that also supports the story of stuff and waste, and that is science and language arts. For green living, looking at green roofs at the 4th and 5th, and so students are looking at the carbon cycle and how carbon sequestration lowers CO2. And students identify the benefits of green roofs, and actually, you can have them model a green roof and looking at what great infrastructure is. So science, gifted, visual arts. For alternative transportation, how walkable is your community? So students will learn what makes a community walkable and assess their own neighborhoods. And so this is very telling a lot because it has them taking, how did they get to school, what bike routes are available, what public transportation is available, and have them redraw their community with what improvements they would make to make it a more walkable community. And so science, social studies, visual arts benchmarks with that one. A question about the Deedly lessons. So the Deedly lessons are typically geared for only middle school, but they can be easily adapted to younger grades and even higher grades. So good question on that one. So moving on then to the food security, the last topic for 4th and 5th grade. Alex, can you move up a little bit? Because I can't. There we go. Sorry. Students, this is something new for us. We've never touched upon these particular topics with food security, but we thought it was relevant about what's going on and what the future may hold. So students will learn about restorative aquaculture and create a seaweed-based recipe book to explore the benefits of seaweed farming. So there are some resources, and again, if some schools can have students bring in food to try, others, I know there's restrictions to what students can have in the classroom where you can give them, but they can just bring in the recipes and try them at home. And this also is a great STEAM initiative. And tied to science, language arts, visual arts, and gifted benchmarks. Now we move on to the middle school lessons for energy. And this is a brand new lesson with some amazing resources. And it's definitely has, and I'm looking here, we should have included some math benchmarks because there's definitely some math involved in this one. Students will research different types of cars and explore the differences in energy needs between electric, hybrid, and gas. And then we'll determine the effectiveness of the current infrastructure for transitioning into zero emissions vehicles. So students are going to be really analyzing, is Miami-Dade County ready for just electric vehicles? The answer is no right now, but there is a plan in Florida to do that. And so students will get a chance to look at that plan. And there's an amazing website that's included in this, in which students can pick different models of cars, and it shows them like the CO2 emissions of those cars, how much those cars are worth, and they figure out the return on their investment. If they buy, for example, a Tesla now, how many years, yes, they're expensive and they're hard to get. I'm not saying everybody should have a Tesla, don't get me wrong, but it gives them a way to check on why are we moving towards electric cars? Why are these, better, or are they better and why? So that's a great lesson. And it's new to us this year as well. So we'd love your feedback on that one. For water, manatee madness. Again, we're really focusing on manatees and the health of Biscayne Bay. So looking at the watershed system and how it threatens the ecosystem and how that ecosystem involves marine animals like the manatees, which is a keynote species. So the students will advocate for solutions to maintain the bay's health. So this lesson also has additional supporting lessons with Deedly, and it has a citizen science opportunity, specifically with the Clean Swell app, because again, we know that depending on how much pollution is in the water, it affects our marine animals. And also the iNaturalist. There's a specific project in iNaturalist talking about endangered species and identifying where those endangered species are. So for that one, not necessarily just focusing on manatees, but on endangered species as well. There's that citizen science opportunities with science, social studies, and gifted benchmark. For waste reduction, the students are introduced to the Miami-Dade County's Plastic Free 305 initiative. And so one of the things that the Ocean Conservancy has studied through an assessment that they did last year is that the main source of a lot of the plastic that we see as garbage is obviously single-use plastic, but that it comes from food. Either restaurant takeout or what you buy in a convenience store that's individually wrapped. So the county has started this Plastic Free 305 initiative to encourage businesses to use less single-use plastic with their food. And so the students are asked to create a business plan for a restaurant that uses little to no single-use plastic and how they would do that. And there's a couple of really good links there. Using, for example, a great website and partner, Debris Free Oceans, that shows restaurants how to go plastic free in order to serve for, for takeout and things like that. So that's social studies, science, and gifted for that one. For green living, this really focuses on green jobs and how to make different careers more environmentally friendly. So there's a little game that the students can participate to guess and learn about different green careers. Here's where you will have a special opportunity of having Miami-Dade County's RER presentation, to get students thinking at the middle school level what they'd like to study in high school, and a DEDLI lesson extension, social studies, language arts, and gifted benchmarks for that. At the alternative transportation, students are going to reimagine a daily route with their car, without cars. How would they use public transportation, specifically the bus? And so students, this is a lot of our students, especially at the middle and high school level, are starting to have to take public transportation. I know my daughter just started high school and has to take public transportation to school. And I know the complaints she's already had waiting for the bus, but having the students talk about these issues and then having them redesign a bus stop to improve ridership and their experience for waiting for the bus. Again, there's lots of issues here related to the heat, to the weather, to lack of sidewalks, all of that. So again, having the students take a look at that and reimagine a bus stop. So science, language arts, social studies, visual arts, benchmarks. For food security, last lesson for middle school, students explore the environmental drawbacks of conventional industrial aquaculture and agriculture. And so they will explore how restorative aquaculture and regenerative agriculture are helping to make large-scale food production more sustainable. How are we going to feed our 7 billion and growing population? So science, social studies, language arts for that one. And now finally going into the last six lessons for that we highlighted at the high school. So for energy efficiency, and this is something we didn't discuss at the beginning, but many of you may be aware that last year, Miami-Dade County Public Schools had a clean energy resolution, clean energy schools by 2030. And what came out of that was that they created a task force that had a sustainability plan and had some goals. And so one of the goals was to reduce energy, and we talked about energy consumption. We talked about how much money MDCPS has in the budget each year approximately for that, and how we want to reduce it. So the students conduct a school energy audit and propose ways to make their school more energy efficient. So again, there's some math in here as well: science, social studies, visual arts, and gifted. For water quality, again, focusing on Biscayne Bay, on the ecosystem and the marine life that depends on it. They will identify the impacts the humans have on Earth in terms of water quality and the importance of the watershed. This citizen science is the Miami Plastic Patrol, as well as the Clean Swell app and the IC Change that you can choose. You don't have to do all three. Again, you can choose to do one, you can choose to do more than one, or you can choose to do none of them. This one specifically, there's an opportunity for students to then participate in a symposium that we are planning at the Frost Science Museum in April. So just to keep that in mind, high school teachers, that will be tied to our Eco Summit. So this would be a great opportunity if they participated in a citizen science project to show what they've learned and analyze their results, and talk about what possible solutions for that they would suggest. So science, social studies. For waste reduction, students can look at the what I mentioned before, this circularity assessment that was done, the results of the survey that was done by Ocean Conservancy, and have a debate on whether single-use plastics should be banned in Florida. I know that that's a hot topic on the news and has been, for example, what Coral Gables tried to do a couple of years back and ban all plastic. So have the students think about what went right, what went wrong, how is this something that we should implement at the state level? So again, citizen science opportunity there to participate in some of the activities that we've mentioned. So science, social studies, language arts, and gifted. So green living is tied to our design and build competition. Now, a school does not have to participate in the design and build competition in order to do this lesson. The design and build competition is an extension of this lesson, but basically it's about looking at sea level rise projections. They're going to be redesigning a plot of land. They're going to be thinking about redesigning a plot of land. What would this particular location look like in 2100? And the location that we have picked is in the Omni District, and it's the old Miami Herald building. Well, that the building is no longer there. Right now, the building is, there's nothing there, but what would they redesign? For alternative transportation is looking at different case studies on pedestrian only and pedestrian priority streets. How will they identify, and then they will identify a street in their community that they would like to close for automobile traffic. So having them look, for example, locally at like in Miami Beach, Lincoln Road. There's another example in
Herald Avenue in Coral Gables.
Exactly. So there's a couple of local examples, and then there's like national examples like Times Square, and then international examples that they can look for case studies. And then finally, for food security, exploring sustainable fishing and learning about the current threats to wild fish stock. There's some great documentary videos created by a partner called Soraya Films that she works with local purveyors of fish for restaurants and distribution. And so there is some resources there for videos integrated in the lesson. So benchmarks, science, language arts, gifted, and visual arts. So those are all the lessons. I try to talk as fast as I can to make sure we finish on time. But again, this is just an overview. So more details on the lesson plans are in each, and you can feel free to explore any of these lessons and tweak them and give us definitely feedback on which ones worked, which ones didn't work, which ones need to be tweaked. So Alex, now we have 5 minutes for some Q&A, and I know that there were two topics that were most teachers identified that they'd like to take a look at, which relates to the special opportunities, and I'm going to link those and to the grants. So specifically for the special opportunities, if Alex, you want to just show maybe where they're included both in the lessons and in the...
Sure. In the document that Barbara was just going over, you can see where, we do offer additional extensions or special opportunities for specific lessons. And so within the lessons, you would find them at the end. So for example, this is the 2nd through 3rd for energy lesson. And we discussed about having a special opportunity where a person from Solar United Neighbors could come into the classroom. So that would be just highlighted here with information as well as the form that you need to sign up for it. So if there's ever any special opportunity, citizen science or anything like that, that we've incorporated into the lesson, you would find information for it towards the end of the lesson. And again, don't forget, we do have a whole page dedicated to special opportunities in each of the curriculum guidebooks, where you'll find more information as well as the signups for those.
And so just want to open it to one or two questions that may be specifically related to that anybody have. If anybody can raise their hands and we can, or you can put it in the chat if there are specific questions about that. Let me see if I see anybody. Alex, do you see anybody raising their hand? Or you can unmute yourself if you need to.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I did see that some people had questions about the Green Leadership Grants, so I just wanted to touch on that again. Again, I'm not sure what the individual question was, so if you want to drop it in the chat, you're more than welcome to. But I just wanted to also point out that we do have sample projects, a list located on the guidebook. If you're stuck or you're not sure if your project would, qualify for a grant. And again, this is not an end-all list. This is just, grants that we have received in the past. But I definitely, if you think that, it's a green initiative or an environmental project, it most likely will, be approved for funding, if we have funds left for that month. So I encourage you to apply regardless. But if you do have a question about it, you're more than welcome to email me and I can tell you yes, or maybe add some kind of component. But just to give you an idea, you could always, for any question that you have, if we don't get to it today, or if you think of it tomorrow, next week, next month, whatever, please email me or call the office and we're here to assist with anything that you might need.
And Suzanne's question was related to websites for buying the resources needed for some of these. Unfortunately, we don't have that. The only one we have more of an in-depth information related to that is through the if you're doing a schoolyard habitat, that does give you more of a breakdown on what the materials might cost. And you do not have to use MDCPS distributors to buy the materials you need. The only thing is, like I mentioned, we wouldn't have specifically like go to Silent Nursery to buy this particular one. We do have a list of, for example, local nurseries that focus on natives, or we can give you contacts, for example, with UF IFAS Extension. So we have 1 minute left. And so you will be getting a survey from us to let us know what you thought of the training. And again, if you have some questions, we'll stick around for a little bit more. But as you all are leaving, if you could please fill out our little Mentimeter question here.
Quick question, Barbara. If we use a 2nd/3rd grade lesson in middle school, there is a crosswalk for us, and we can probably use a middle school benchmark. I have a question. Last year, there was an activity, and I don't know which one, for Heat Islands, about roof materials and temperatures. Is that the same one that's on Green Living for elementary?
No, because that one was a little more advanced. But if you want to use that one from last year, we can send you a copy of that.
Can you?
Yeah, just email us so we don't forget.
Okay, I'll email you now. So I gotta find the emails.
Yeah, if you liked that email, if you like that lesson, yeah, then for sure you can use it.
Yeah, Ms. Z used it last year, and we're going to use it this year in 6th grade for the STEM designation and add all of the engineering stuff to it.
Yeah, I'm putting my email as well.
I just wanted to ask you, is it okay? I don't have a lot of support. And you had mentioned about Fairchild. We do participate in the Fairchild so that I can use some of the things that apply for that we've done and send them to you.
Yeah, so you would only, so yes, you can send them and they will be counted as bonus points, but it would only count for one set of bonus points. Like you couldn't send me just all of the
One
stuff you did
challenge.
for Fairchild to get, multiple points. Now,
Like to get one bonus, right? One.
right, exactly. But if there is an example of a lesson that you created to support, for example, I know that Fairchild does like the Shade Our Schools. And so if you created a lesson that falls into, Green Living right there. So you can submit that lesson, but it can't be just if you integrate it into a lesson, right? You created your own lesson to support that particular challenge, then you can do that.
And another question, I do every year with my fifth graders, we do in the science lab, a project on runoff, and it's very time consuming and but it's great. And then from there, we do the one on erosion, where they actually build their own wall, decorate it, use different materials to be able to see where the erosion, which material holds best. And so can I use that as one of my projects? Yes.
Yes, I mean, I think that would fall into like the water quality and conservation, especially since this year too, that focuses on ecosystems. And I think in previous years, we had done a lesson with like the Everglades. The Everglades Foundation has a lesson that talks about like erosion in the Everglades as well. And we use that for like water quality and conservation. So you can use that lesson.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay, yeah, because I've got education fund, you guys, and I'm it. So I just wanted to make sure that that's okay. All right, thank you. Thanks for all your help. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day. Any
You
other
too.
questions? I know that there was a couple of teachers. Is that Josie?
Yes, sorry, Barbara.
Hi.
I know you since you were at Tropical Fair when you started here.
Yeah.
So I asked a lot of questions. I started buying stuff. So I know I'm gonna write that grant because, like I said, our school does not have any gardening, nothing. We're starting a lot of things at this school this year. And Ms. Lopez is the music teacher, and we have another teacher that's gonna start, but she's taking her daughter to college, so that's why she couldn't be present, Ms. Francois, and we're trying to bring more people on board. Like I said, everything at our school is gonna start new. So I started buying at Aldi. They had stuff like the compost bin. They had them for $50 instead of a lot more. The planters, they had them for $30. So I already bought 4 because they cost $130 something. So I was trying to save money and get more. So I already got them, and I got some volunteer from the family to set them up so we can start butterfly garden and things like that. So we're trying to get a lot of things, and we know the money is only so much. And when you wait it until we start, everything is more expensive. So in the summertime, you could buy a lot of cheaper stuff, but like on your own or trying to use your class money for that, that's basically what I did. I know that in the past, we were able to get a rain barrel for free. If you took a class from the Miami Metro.org, do you have any idea if they still have that, or the recycling bins, instead of spending money on buying the bins? I am going to check and see if from the cities they can give us, because I know Bay Harbor, I went and they gave us recycling bins from the city so we can recycle, but I don't know. I'm going to try North Miami Beach is where we're at now.
So UF-IFAS they're the ones that do the rain barrels, and I know that they're free for schools. So all you would need to do is to attend a workshop. And so it'll send us an email and I'll contact you. I'll put you in contact with Barbara McAdams. She's one of the people you saw in the videos.
Okay.
And she's the one that does these workshops. And the workshops are really good because it shows you where to set up the rain barrel.
Yeah.
A lot of people are very, they set it up wrong, and so they get like mosquitoes, and they're afraid of like mosquitoes and all of that. So having her go through, why this rain barrel is important, how to maintain it, where to put it is great. And then you get a free rain barrel. So the
Okay.
recycling bins, that I am not sure. I know of anybody that is giving away like individual recycling bins. I know like each municipality gives out like the big ones that, you and I have in our home, but I don't think they give away individuals. That was a grant a couple of years ago that the county, like the district, got. I know that some teachers put that in there's green leadership grants, and we'll be on the lookout too for any resources related to free recycling bins, just in case. But as of right now, we don't know. But if you find any information from your
I
municipality,
will share.
please share it.
I will share, because that way we don't spend the money on that, and then we could buy more other stuff that we just can get for free.
Josie,
Okay.
when you go to Barbara McAdam for the course, make sure you take a big car. I had a grandson.
Okay.
I had a Honda Civic. When I did that years ago, I thought it was going to be delivered. No, you take it when you go to the class.
All right. So I was
Michelle, our partner from Lady Green, she said you can also make your own recycling bin with the students.
Okay. Hello, Barbara and Alexandra.
Hi.
I have a quick question. Hello.
Yes.
Again, thank you for such a rich curriculum, all these resources putting together. Great job. I have a question about bonus activities. Are you looking for the different activities or the number of events? Because for our nature preserve, we had 3 community service activities because it's a huge 5-acre thing. So was that considered as one event or 3 different events for bonus activities?
That's a good question.
Separate.
You look for
3
the
separate.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Hope to see you soon, and hope to have your students participate in the design and build. Come on, we got to get another winner, another winning team.
So excited. Thank you again.
Thanks. Great. Thank you, everybody. We are going to close down the Zoom. We really appreciate you and look forward to working with you the rest of the year.